Good evening, everybody. Welcome to a new edition of the Storytellers. We're going to do a little different one tonight. Normally, we'll have a guest that we'll interview to talk about storytelling, or I'll take a cartoonist who has passed and discuss his work. But a story is only as good as the ability to get it out and get it to the public. And so tonight, I want to talk about crowdfunding because a lot of people don't seem to understand what that is. They're a little nervous about jumping into those waters. So I thought I'd give you a little bit of a background about that and how it all comes about and how it translates into publishing, particularly comic books. So crowdfunding, what is that? Well, there's two main platforms for it, Indiegogo and Kickstarter. And what it is it's a platform that allows creatives, businesses, entrepreneurs, inventors, and the ability to raise funds for projects to get projects to market, if you will. And why is that good? Why is that good for cartoonists and artists and writers and stuff like that? Well, to answer that question, we have to kind of go back into the way comics have always been done ever since the beginning, going back to the mid-1930s. We have a legal boondoggle that's called work for hire. And the companies, and it's not just comics, but it's very prevalent in comics, adopted this legal loophole to hire creatives to create products for them without having to put them on salary and give them benefits. They're what in tax circles are called 1099s. And the problem with that is that they know that artists and writers need money to keep the lights on. So they offered them pay rates which they determine. Try and do that with your lawyer or your plumber. Well, here's the rate I'm going to give you. I don't think that's going to fly, but it flew for over 80 years with comic artists and writers. And so it's always been a tough haul for cartoonists to make a living because they're always beholden to these corporations that not only paid, pretty low rates, but if you created anything for them, they own that outright. So it was a very one-sided situation, but there really wasn't a lot of opportunities for cartoonists and writers to get their work out because they didn't have the funds to do that. That was the advantage that the corporations had, the comic publishers had. Well, lo and behold, times change, technology changes, and comic companies have run their business into the ground. So people with some stick-to-itiveness, if you will, and talent have decided that there's other ways to get their work out there. And the best way these days to do it is through crowdfunding. One of the advantages of it is that you can bypass the distribution system too, which was also a stranglehold on the comics industry because it was a monopoly. And if you were just a startup, you're a guy trying to start your own company, you had no way to get your books out there. You could get it into the Diamond catalog, but it was buried way back. And because of the direct sales market, they ordered their regular stuff from the big companies, and whatever was left over, they might order some small change books. But that's changed now because now with crowdfunding, you can get your product right to your fans. And that's a wonderful thing. The other advantage is that as a creator, you own it. So when you support crowdfunding, you're supporting the artist. You're supporting them and allowing them to create stuff that they are passionate about. It's not just a job. It's not just, an editor calls and says, hey, you want to work on such and such a book. You're not going to own it. you probably won't make any royalties either. Um, but now we're working on the stuff we love. We're telling the stories we want to tell. There's no gatekeepers anymore, and that's the exciting thing about how crowdfunding works. Um, Corporate comics versus independent comics. Some of the arguments are, oh well, these comics are too expensive. You're paying $25 for a crowdfunded comic when I can buy an issue of Batman for $4.99 or $5.99. I don't even know what it is right now anymore. But what is that value? Okay, so let's look at what the value you get from a crowdfunded book. Okay, let's start with corporate books. Corporate books, you get 20 pages of story. There's ads. The covers are littered with all kinds of credits. If it's a crossover thing, I mean, the covers, corporate comics are beginning to look like NASCAR with all the sponsorship all over it. And you're only getting 20 pages of story in there. And even then, they're somewhat suspect as to the quality of it. With crowdfunding, there are what they call stretch goals. Okay, so if you're the first person to support, let's say my project, that's closing it down now, the Canoe. You're the first person. It costs you $25 for that book. What are you getting for that book? Well, you're getting a 48-page book, saddle stitched just like a regular comic. Okay, it doesn't sound like a great deal, but the more people that come in on it, and the more stretch goals that are hit, the more goodies everybody gets, whether you're the first person or the 1,000th person to come on board. So by the time the campaign ends, and if the campaign is successful and you hit all these different stretch goals, that 48-page comic has now grown to 64 pages. That saddle stitch cover is now square perfect bound. The slick cover is now a cardstock with a spot varnish finish on it, and a matte finish with a spot varnish on it. You're also now getting a bookmark and a sticker, and your name listed in the book, and the book signed, and all of those things are value added to the project. So now that $25 for that book is actually a really great deal. So you're getting better quality. You're supporting the artists, and it's a great thing, and you shouldn't be afraid of jumping into it. Now, just like with restaurants, there's good restaurants that have good service and good food, and there's bad restaurants. So, not everybody runs their campaigns the same or as well as some others. So you have to do your homework, talk to people, and when you find a creator that you trust, help them out, support them, and you'll get a really great product out of it. The other aspect to it is that there's the interaction, and this is the part that I love the best, is that, as I mentioned, there's no gatekeepers. So when I did a project, say for DC Comics, I had no interaction with the fans. Back when they used to have maybe letter pages, you'd get some interaction, but now I'm interacting directly to them. My email is up there. They can contact me about any problems. I handle everything personally. And they're on board right from the beginning to see the process of the creation of something that they're supporting. And that when they get those books, they're very excited because they helped bring it to life. And that's a great thing. So when you open up that Gemini mailer, when it arrives to you, this is an example of how my product ships. Okay, so you get your comic in a backing board. Okay, so you would open it up. This is just to show you kind of the value that's added when you support a project like this. Okay, so the first thing you get is a nice thank you letter, because I'm appreciative. You know, like I said, I can't do this without you. Then the goodies. There's on that project, there was a Chinook trading card. A really cool bookmark. And a really, really cool sticker. I'm out of these. This is the last sticker I got, too. I kept it for myself. And then the book itself. So you can see the shine on the logo. That's that spot varnish. And on the blood, too. So this book feels unlike any other comic that you've ever held in your hand. It's really amazing. It's got a square bound backing, very chic and graphic look to the back cover. No ads anywhere. One of the things you could have gotten as a an extra perk was a remark on the inside. That's like a drawing. Obviously, it's signed here in red, blood Chinook red, I might add. Then in the back, it's a really nice 60-pound coated stock. Okay, and then in this particular book, I don't think I'll do this again, but it was nice to do on the first one. Oh, you got behind the scenes stuff, pencils and inks. I listed every one of my backers. There's over 16 or 1,800 names that were listed on there. And then just a little, as far as advertising, just a little blurb about the next book that's coming out from Compass Comics. So that's a good deal. So we have a few guests that are sitting in our waiting room here that have had some experience with crowdfunding, and some that want to learn about it. I'm going to bring in some of my good friends here. Let's start with the man, the myth, the legend, Mr. Bill Tucci.
Hey, how are you?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm all right. I was about to bookmark
nice.
this video. Thank you.
Well played, sir. Well played.
Thank you, my friend. Thank you.
All right. Let's bring in my other old friend, Aaron Lepresti.
Hey!
Hey!
Who brought the drinks?
I get to sit here with you two guys. This is awesome. Thanks for having me. Really, how's it going, man?
Let me change my name. Let me change my name from I'm from the government and I'm here to help. Because it doesn't fit. Hang on.
And then we have one more to add here. The man who is a sound effect himself, Fragaboom.
Gentlemen, how are you?
Good. How are you doing, Dan?
I'm good. Good. Off camera because I'm drawing, and the bunny suit makes it hard to draw.
Well, you see that, folks? This is a man that's working hard to fulfill his backers' wishes.
Yes, absolutely.
So who has a live campaign going right now? Anybody?
Live?
Yeah.
That'd be Billy.
I do.
Right?
We got She Hikyo. We're now it's live on Kickstarter. We've got 9 days left. We did a short Kickstarter campaign.
Okay.
And we're on Indiegogo, in demand on Indiegogo, and I believe we just crossed $160,000.
Beautiful.
That's our total combined, no fan left behind campaign strategy, where I do dual campaigns because I think everybody deserves a little she.
Amen.
Well put.
Yep. So it's all about the business, right? That's what we're here for. We're in publishing, and I look at the various platforms as stores, So I want my books in both Target and Walmart.
Right.
That's how I look at it.
That's right.
And also the wife insists on it. So happy wife, happy life.
Well, we work very hard on these projects, and we want as many people as possible to enjoy them. You know, that's what it's all about. You know, is getting these stories we can't contain within ourselves out to the public so that they can enjoy them as well.
That's right. Yeah, because you'll burst inside if you keep them inside.
That's true.
So are you guys, when you guys are doing your campaigns, are you offering any sort of retailer deals to get them in comic book shops or anything like that? Or is this strictly to the people that directly fund the book, and that's it?
Yeah. That's a good question, Aaron. I think a lot of crowdfunding folks like us sort of forget the retailers. I had two retailer tiers in my Chinook campaign, because I think it's important. I don't think it's an all or nothing thing. I don't think it's one or the other. I think that both these things can coexist together, where, you know, we can bypass distribution and go directly to our fans, but then there's the socialization of the comic book shop, and that's a really important thing to comic book fans, is to be able to have a meeting place where they can talk about the stuff that they love and share the stuff that they've enjoyed reading and stuff like that. And I think that's great. It's great for building the love of the hobby. And so, yeah, I think it's important to add something for the retailers, give them a discount if they buy, you know, multiple copies, that kind of stuff. Allow them to make a profit on it as well.
Yeah, we have yet to do that. We have a few side deals with some retailers who contacted us, and we do deals with them afterwards to get books in a few shops. But we haven't explored that yet, and I'd love to do that. Maybe we'll start it with our with our omnibus edition, which is launching in March.
Mm-hmm.
The first volume 1 of the G omnibus, because I love comic shops. I have so many retailer friends. Hell, I owe them everything. I owe Diamond everything. I owe the retailers everything. I wouldn't be here talking to you guys right now if it weren't for them. It's just another step in getting as much as your product out there as possible.
Well, you mentioned Walmart and what else did you mention? Walmart and someplace else.
Walmart, Kmart, Target, different stores. That's why I look at the various platforms as that. And we had right now we're 9 backers away, I think, from 500 backers on Kickstarter with this 2-week campaign for our exclusive edition. So, I've learned that there are people that will only buy on particular platforms.
I got you.
For various amount of reasons, which are their own. So there are some people that will never buy on Kickstarter, never support Kickstarter, as opposed there are people on Kickstarter who are happy just staying on Kickstarter, and they don't want to go somewhere else.
Yeah, I found that to be true too. So you're launching just simultaneously your product on both platforms.
Yep. We launched Indiegogo first as an exclusive for 6 weeks. I think it was 5 weeks we did it, and then January 4th we launched Haikyō with an exclusive Kickstarter edition, a Kickstarter cover on Kickstarter, and that was 14 days now. We're in 14 days, and it's doing fantastic. I couldn't be happier, and they seem to have a new new people over there. People are very accepting and open to different projects. We made feature project of the day
Nice.
of all of Kickstarter, and we also made a Kickstarter project we love, which we never did with our 3 other preceding campaigns on there. So it's a new culture, I think, over there, and our rep has been incredibly engaging to us. Setting up a big meeting with them for the omnibus edition, which I hope will be a big book. In sales wise, it's 464 pages, so it's a brick of a book. It's the first 16 issues of She. So and there's about 138 of them, 130 of them, or something like that. So that's our first volume, our first omnibus edition, and we want to do it right. And Indiegogo is incredibly, Indiegogo reached out to us And that's why I love Indiegogo, because Indiegogo follows me on Twitter, which is incredible. They're always tagging us, and they reach out. Anything you need, please let us know. So I love them both. You know, personally, I would just go on one platform, but as I said, my wife's the one that does all the bills, and she does all the fulfillment. So,
Hey.
you know, we haven't been together a long time for nothing. You know,
Right.
I mean, I got animal heads, guns, swords, you know, and toys all over the entire house.
You got to fund
Every room. So, you know.
So let me ask you another question, if I may.
Yeah,
Hog all the questions here.
That's okay. This is how we learn. This is good questions.
So are you guys contacting the people that are, say, in charge of the comics at Indiegogo or Kickstarter before you launch, or are you just launching and then you've managed to develop relationships with them because your books have done so well?
Billy, take that.
Initially we just launched it.
Yeah.
Jimmy Palmiotti hooked me up with and I'll put you in touch with her if you're gonna go Kickstarter with the woman who runs the comics, the new woman who runs the comics at Kickstarter, and she's been amazing. And Ethan hooked me up with the person from Indiegogo. So if you'd like, I can share both their emails and you can reach out to them, and they're both amazing. They really are. They're amazing. I don't want to give away names because, you know, I don't know if they want to know that too. But it's pretty cool. And you just be yourself, Aaron. You just tell them, I'm on here with 3 affable chaps, gentlemen, each and every one of you guys, and everyone likes you guys. You're
the only one with hair though, Billy.
Yeah, that's right.
That is true.
It makes a difference. Does make a difference.
Okay, that may be true, right? And I don't have any gray hair, but I can't grow a beard. I can't even grow. I shaved yesterday morning.
Mm-hmm.
And look at this, like a baby's behind.
Mm-hmm.
I can't grow a freaking beard.
That's hilarious.
I guess I'll take it, right? I got nothing to complain about. I should have combed my hair today.
It's funny how we get into middle age and we look so different from each other when we were younger. But now look at Graham and I could be related, you know. Got a little bit of beard going, got some gray going in there. Me a little bit more than him. And it's,
you know, I was at a show. I was at Heroes Con with Buzz in 19, I guess, the last Heroes Con they had, and we're hanging out. Buzz and I are talking, and some fan came by and had a picture of the two of us that we took in 1995 or 94. And Buzz goes, now look at that, you know, and he shows a picture of Buzz. If you guys remember Dan, what Buzz looked like? He said the band really
long hair. Like he looked like he came from Rat or Poison or something.
Yeah, exactly. And now he's like, and now look at me. I look like this guy's math teacher now.
Yeah. Here, I'll turn on my camera. I'm gonna put on the bunny suit real fast. There we go.
There you go, bro.
There's the bunny suit. But look, this is how we roll. This is how we do it. That's how we do it.
That's a power move. That's a power move.
We're like you're surrounded, Billy.
Yeah, but see, well, Dan, when did you lose your hair, Dan? How old were you when you
21?
You were 21 when you started losing your hair.
Yeah. I was very unfortunate.
So you look exactly the same as you've looked for the past 20 years.
Pretty much,
right?
Yeah.
Like, what if I lose my hair? You know,
you'll be a beautiful old man.
Everyone's looking at me as teen sensation Billy Tucci, you know.
Yeah.
And what if it all goes away tomorrow? What happens?
A lot of bench press.
I know.
And I can't grow a goatee, so I'm gonna
shave it down. Do some bench press. You'll just look like a tough guy.
No, I'm gonna end up looking like Ron Howard's brother, Clint Howard.
Oh, drink it. It's Tranya. It's Tranya. Drink it up.
Hey, I hope you relish it as much as I.
There we go. Star Trek geeks.
That's right,
man.
Mm-hmm.
Raised on it.
Heck yeah.
So I'm getting ready to launch Alien Alamo on Tuesday.
Nice.
Awesome.
I'm closing the Chinook campaign down Friday. And then be launching Alien Alamo. I got the video for it the other day, and it looks friggin' amazing.
Sweet.
Yeah.
Now, is this going to be a 48-page book as well?
Well, it starts out as 48 pages, but stretch goals, it could get up to 64 or more.
Excellent.
So
you manage your story then? If you're writing a story for 48 pages and you're thinking, well, it could get to 64. I mean, how do you manage that in terms of how you handle the script?
Because Aaron, I'm a genius, and what I decided to do, check this out. If it goes past the 48 pages, the extra pages are setups for the next book.
Oh.
Because all of my books are interconnected. They're not sequels, so like this is not Chenoo 2. But what's happening in this book is going to have a direct connection to the Chenoo, and it's even going to have a bigger connection to the third book, The Ghosts of Matacumba Key, when I get to that one. So all of these things, what's happening in these extra pages is they'll either tell backstory, or they'll move the plot forward for the next book.
Gotcha. Nice.
Yeah, I have a different way about it, which is like the when you see a movie and then you see the director's cut. Mm-hmm. The expanded version is basically, for my sake, the director's cut. It's like the action scenes are a little fleshed out. You get little extra tidbits, stuff that motivates things along. But it's like the dream version, and then you strip it down to the regular version. So like the expanded version is essentially the director's cut.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, that works.
Yeah, I like it.
Yeah.
So, Graham, you seem to be, at least recently, sort of aggressively attacking this. In other words, well, no, I mean, you had the Chenoo came out, right? And you're just closing that, and now you're launching your next one. So you obviously have some sort of publishing plan where you're not wasting any momentum. You're just going from one project to the next project to the next project. Is that fair?
Yes, that's exactly right. I have the next 3 projects planned out, so that as I finish up this one, like I said, I've already got the next one, The Ghosts of Matacumba Key, lined up. And then
what is that about? Can we get a little insight in that one?
I can't say anything about that one yet. because it involves characters from the Chenoo, and some people haven't read it yet because they're still in transit, and it's going to involve something that happens in Alien Alamo as well. So I really can't say anything about that one yet.
Are all of yours, and do you recommend, and the same thing with you, Fraga, are all your characters all within the same universe, in the Nolan verse, if you will?
Mine are, and in fact, in the Chenoo, I even mentioned Joe Frankenstein.
Nice.
I have a scene where one guy he's a doubting Thomas, and he can't believe they're talking about this ice creature, from myth and legend, and he says he gives a smart ass remark about how you probably buy that old chestnut about the kid and the monster living in the grain elevators too, direct hint to Joe Frankenstein.
Yeah, my answer is no comment, Billy. You don't get to know until you know.
Then there's that.
No insider information for you, Billy. That's a bummer, man.
Yeah. I know how teenagers talk.
Oh, I do. They scare the shit out of me, teenagers. So, Aaron, what are we doing? What are we doing, bud? You going to be diving full force into it again?
Yeah, I am. I mean, obviously, you look at things and what's going on at DC. I mean, are they even going to be publishing comics in 6 months? And make a difference. And you can't help but think that Marvel's not much farther behind DC in terms of where they're going to be headed. So it's looking like us old pros are going to be the ones that are going to save this industry, are going to have to start doing it in an independent market. What I've got coming up actually is that I'm almost done with is I'm doing a sort of a high-end coloring book. I don't know if you guys are all old enough to remember Wrightson's Color the Creature coloring book. Remember that thing? The 17 oversized thing he did. And I had an idea that to get some illustrations out there, I've got like tons of stuff in my sketchbook that I always wanted to put to finished illustration and never really had the motivation to do it. And I thought, if I do this coloring book, it's going to be oversized, not as big as Wrightson's. Wrightson's 11 by 17. Mine's going to be 13 by 9 by 13. So it'll be bigger than a regular book, but it's still not going to be gigantic. And then I'm going to have a little prose, a little story in the facing page of the image to kind of set up the story of these different scenes that I'm portraying. I'll plug this while I'm on here. Like, for example, this is keep my dog from licking it. Think of this barbarian chick in the snow with a Yeti kind of.
Can you expand that, Graham?
Yeah, hold on. Let's see. How can I do that?
Probably zoom out.
Oh, that's not it.
That's you. Hey,
Yeah.
you.
Hey, yeah,
Zoom out just a bit. That's one image, and I've got.
There we go.
There you go.
So you can see her in the snow there. And so they're, basically black and white images that are going to be open like this, that are, people can scan and color in Photoshop or color in the book if they want to. But it's also going to act as a storybook because you're going to have on the facing page to this art, you're going to have a write-up, a little story, a short story about what you're looking at. And the idea was I wanted to do something that, because, I did the Garbage Man thing about a year and a half ago, and I kind of went, balls out and aggressive, and it didn't work out because I was trying to raise too much money, and I've sort of figured out the process a little bit in terms of how you guys are doing it on Indiegogo. And all I'm really shooting for on this, because most of the artwork is done. I just got a couple more pieces to finish up. So I just want to get enough money to cover the printing costs, basically the publishing costs, basically would be taking pre-orders, to do that. And so the amount of money I have to raise is very little, $1,000, that's it. And then go ahead and do it. Because my last project a year and a half ago, I did, I'll show you guys, sorry, excuse my face getting that close, but I did this hardcover sketchbook, right, 64 pages. And I paid for this all up front. I didn't crowdfund it or anything. And I did, it took me about 6 months to break even on it, and it made it tougher because we didn't have a convention season really to go to. I mean, I went to Chicago and that was it, then they canceled it last year. But I've been.
You did C2E2?
Yeah.
Man, yeah, you guys all got out of there just in time, because wasn't that like the first week in March or something?
No, it was like the end of January because it was like the worst time to have a convention in Chicago, right? It's like in the winter. So it was freezing, and I was like, what am I doing here? But I did pretty well at the show, and it was odd because when I flew back, it was right when the outbreak started in Seattle in that nursing home. Seattle was like the hot spot in the nation, and I got stuck in the Seattle airport overnight because my flight was late and I missed the connecting flight. So I was actually sleeping in the airport to catch an 8 a.m. flight the next morning to get down to Portland. And I figured if I can get through the Seattle airport at the height of the breakout without catching anything, I'm probably pretty safe. But anyway, so I financed this sketchbook on my own and then, sold it, broke even. I've come out ahead on it and, done okay on it. But I figured, well, it'd be nice if you could actually get at least the publishing costs up front and out of the way. So, you're not in the hole to start out with. And then, it'd be something that I sell to whoever buys, obviously through Indiegogo, but then it's whatever's left over. It goes to conventions with me and that type of stuff, and is available online and things like that. And so it's like a kind of a small project to sort of get my feet wet. That it's pretty much would be pretty hard not to succeed with the limited amount of money I'm looking to raise.
Yeah,
and then after that, kind of jump into the whole comic book thing, because I've got stuff ready to go, but it's a much bigger project. And that's the one thing that I was always kind of like looking at you guys that were kind of out in front of this is, I mean, we all know how much it costs to produce a comic book, right? A 48-page book. If you're working for DC or Marvel and your page rate and, for writing, penciling, inking, coloring, lettering, and then your printing costs, and it's expensive, right? So what I've been seeing is, and you guys correct me if I'm wrong here, but what I've been seeing on, Indiegogo with these projects is guys come in and saying, what they're trying to raise is $1,500, right? So they can get it paid for so that now it's a success, because once it's funded, more people start jumping on to something that's going to be a success, right? As opposed to not wanting to get involved with something they don't think is going to meet its goal.
Yeah.
So, but then you're running the risk that, okay, you raise $5,000, but it costs 20 grand to produce this comic in terms of work and publishing and stuff. So there is a risk to it, but I understand that that's probably the only way to really do is kind of take that gamble, because that's the only way to really to hit the numbers that you're going to get to actually pay for the book.
Well, here's the thing, Aaron, is that, and this is the balancing act that every one of us has to determine is yes, we know what those costs are just to break even. But the thing you want to try and hit with these things is the algorithms. And if Indiegogo or Kickstarter thinks that your project is successful, they're going to back a successful project. They're going to push that, and they push it on their platform in emails, in spotlights, and all this other stuff that's going to get your project well beyond your limited email list or fan base or whatever. It's going to get it to people that are just investors too, So the trick is to kick in those algorithms and determine a goal that you can live with and be comfortable with, and hopefully have it really take off because of that.
Yeah, but he's also doing it the smart way. We did it similar with our we did a hoodie. That was our first crowdfunding campaign, because there was a Chi-Com company ripping off my art and making hoodies out of it and advertising it on Facebook. Mm-hmm. So we tried to put the kibosh on it, and basically we contacted a lawyer, and he said the one way that you can stop this is that you become an apparel company yourself. So we became, I created American Crusade Apparel. We did a hoodie. It was small. We had 240 backers. We made the hoodies. I was able to copyright, that image for apparel. And, the Chi-Coms haven't done it since. They haven't tried to do it since. And we raised money for the veterans. And but we learned that way, shipping stuff out, because it was small. It was only 240 backers, which at the time, oh my God, 240 backers, and we were able to learn that way. Then the next book we did was Zombie Sama, which was a book with my partner, John Broly, and I, that I wrote and he illustrated. And that did great. We had 1,300 backers for that. So that was another big step, but it wasn't going, like starting off huge. But the thing too is that all the backers that followed us from the hoodie thing to Zombie Sama then followed us to the She-Book. Right. And the bigger you get, then the more capable you are and apt you are of doing the fulfillment, because that's the most important part, or one of the most important. Equally as important as drawing the book, writing the book, producing the book, is shipping the damn book. And all these people, because we owe them,
and therein lies your biggest cost.
Yeah,
the more books you sell, the printing goes down. Per your cost per unit. But shipping is shipping.
Aaron, here's a lesson I learned. For our first 3 campaigns, we did not charge for domestic shipping. The last one, Return of the Warrior, which we shipped a few months back, our U.S. Postal Service bills alone through stamps.com, not supplies, not labor, nothing, was over $22,000.
Right.
We didn't charge for shipping.
You factor that in, though, to your...
We didn't.
Well, you do now.
Now we charge for shipping, and no one's batted an eye.
Well,
hey, Archie Bear.
Archie Bear.
Hey, the Californian moved to Texas. There he is.
Yeehaw!
What's up, Art?
Wow, that came natural, didn't it?
My gosh, I got to tell you, I'm so happy to see Art every time, because I'm terrified that he won't be with us, having such a close call with the freeway murderer.
What? What happened?
I have to. I love the story. I've been watching Night Stalker and Bundy and Jack the Ripper all week. So
yeah,
I
watched that Night Stalker one. I watched all of that.
Holy crap! Well, Art was friends with the hillside, one of the hillside strangler or the freeway killer. Please, Art.
No
Oh, the
way.
freeway killer. Okay, real quick. I was around like 16, 17, and there was a guy that was scouting for the freeway killer. And so he was recruiting young boys to be sodomized and then strangled and then left by the side of the freeway. So I always liked film, and so I had a friend that was like me, and he was a film enthusiast. And we found out there was this guy named Vernon Butts, who was the freeway killer assistant, and who killed, I think, 7 or 9 young men as well. And so he was making films. And so we went over and we're going to assist him making these films. So long story short, I got this really creepy vibe from him. And so I stopped going over there. And so then a few years later, I'm on my own. I got my apartment. I'm listening to the news and I'm like, Vernon Butts, blah, 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 freeway killer, XYZ. And I was like, oh my gosh, that's the same guy. That's that guy that lived in my neighborhood. And he was scouting kids. And
didn't you hang out in his bedroom and he had a coffin or something in his bed? Like, oh, this cute.
Wait, how was he scouting kids though? What was he? What would he do?
Okay, so what would they would do?
Wait a minute. How does this have to do with crowdfunding?
I don't know.
We're working on it. We're working on a comic here. Come on.
These things happen, Graham. YouTube, you can't control it. That's why I'm late, because I tried to wrangle 7 people on Pontificators in to focus them so we could end the stream, and it just doesn't happen. But anyway, long story short, he sold magic tricks on the weekend at the local toy store.
Who doesn't?
Who doesn't? This was this is late 70s, when they still had toy stores, and so he had a coffin in his bedroom, and I said, "What's a coffin for?" And he goes, "I sleep in it." And then juxtapose this with his mom. I met his mom. It'd be like meeting, I don't know, Hitler's parents. And so she was so sweet. She's like, "Can I get you guys anything? Would you like a sandwich, a tuna fish sandwich?" And I'm like, "Sure, I'll take a tuna fish sandwich." So
why is there a toenail in it?
Oh.
Jesus.
You're lucky you're not dead.
Exactly. So it was funny because I do this every Halloween. I do a Halloween episode for my YouTube channel. So I'm telling this story. My daughter likes the creepy stuff as well, and so we're talking about horror, and then so I bring this story up, and then it didn't dawn on me. I think it just some things are just so scary. You don't want the realization. And she goes, Dad, you were being profiled to be a victim. And I was like, no.
Art, serious question. Does it bother you that you weren't sexy enough for him?
I think it was just that I didn't find him sexy enough.
Well, we saw the torn pants picture of you gardening in Texas. So, I mean,
yes.
Yeah.
I'd have strangled Art. I'd have strangled you on a freeway just from that picture alone.
Oh my gosh! Look what you started, Billy.
I apologize. Not really. Sorry, not sorry. I'm just fascinated by. Again, I've been watching The Night Stalker, right, Dan? Crazy.
Yeah, dude. The thing that's crazy is like I remember all of that stuff because I was like 12 when that stuff was happening. But the thing that's even crazier is moving to Southern California. If I lived there during those times, that would have freaked me the fuck out because all of those areas, as Art knows, that was like Orange County, East LA. That was like 20 minutes from where I was living.
I was in college during that time.
What's that?
USC when the Night Stalker was doing his thing.
Yeah.
It was freaky.
And the thing that's crazy too is like, I watched some footage where we were putting him in the back of the car after the people had beat him and stuff. He just like, and maybe it's because I'm old now, but he just looks like a kid, right? He's like 24 years old, like just a kid.
Yep. What a murderous bitch. And I love it that all those dudes, right? He walked into the wrong neighborhood, man. And
Yeah,
those Chicanos, they kicked the shit out of that guy.
they fucked him up.
They fucked him up.
Street justice, man. Street
Yep.
justice.
Again, let's talk comics.
Let me turn this back around. You guys,
Go ahead, Aaron.
are you guys sustaining yourself right now completely on crowdfunding independent projects, or are you guys still doing any commercial work on the side for other people, whether that be,
I still work. Still work. And I mean, that's the thing. Like one of the reasons I wanted to come on here is for anybody that has like day jobs, because I know a lot of guys do. I'm a storyboard artist. And in the beginning of the crowdfunding, there was no storyboard work happening at all. And I was able to be very productive. I was streaming more. But now productions have ramped up. Commercials are going. TV shows are going. And yeah, I mean, it's more of a, like, I just had this conversation with a buddy of mine who's also doing a crowdfunding book. And you go, like, do you tell all these people you've had relationships with for the past 15 years, like, nah, go fuck yourself. Like, I can't help you anymore. Or do you stay the course? Do you know what I mean? Like it ends up becoming a crazy decision. So like I found like, my days are 16 hours long now. I work on my book. I work on the day job. I have 4 kids. Those are the things you can't calculate for. And my advice, and something Jimmy Palmiotti had said to me, Billy and I did this convention in October of 19.
Yeah.
Out in Nashua, the Comic Bash. It was a Halloween bash.
Great show. And we had a pirate ship.
Fucking pirate ship inside the hotel.
It was awesome.
Jimmy gave a piece of advice that I thought it sounded crazy, right? He's like, make sure you have your book done and then crowdfund it. And I was like, what? Like, how do you know you have the money to do it if you don't, like this? And I'm kind of in the middle of it where I go, you know what? Whatever time you have budgeted, add 30% to it. No matter what, because like for me, I had a kidney stone, a surgery, COVID, I had no idea that my 4 kids would be home all day, every day, because they don't go to school, which puts a tax on your wife, which puts a tax on you. And your days that you're used to having, and you go, I can do this much in 8 hours. Now you go, actually, I can do 60% of that because I'm putting fires out all day.
Right.
So my advice to anybody is pad your schedule, like or have a lot of the book done before you go. That's some of my advice, and that's from learning it this first time around. Like my books is late. I should be shipping right now, and I'm not close.
And also for me, it's like I'm doing it where I'm funding the book, and then I'm going to do the book. So it's kind of like investing into the project, giving me time to do these things so I can pay bills and things like that. And so to answer Aaron's question, I tried to stay at DC and and do my independent work. But what was happening is I wasn't able to kind of keep them both going. And so, of course, the DC stuff, that's more paying the bills. That takes, all your attention. And then whatever time you have left goes into your independent stuff. But I started thinking, at this point in my life, I've already proven all the DC stuff, all the Marvel stuff. I've done all the icons. That's not really where I want to be anymore. I want to be independent. So good, bad, or indifferent, I'm going to quit. DC, I was doing Super Sons. I'm going to leave. And then I'm just going to put all my time into the independent stuff.
Well, so Art, I don't know if you know, but you're like the number 13 most prolific inker of all time.
Ooh,
like if you go online, you can look up most prolific penciler, most prolific inker, and they go by like how many years in the business and how many pages done, and you're like number 13 of all time.
I'd like to think some of those pages are pretty good looking too. That
they're all right. I'm going to say what they always say. I like your old work better.
I like
I'm in the same boat as Art is, Aaron. I have the campaign and then I produce the work, Some of the stuff I get done ahead of time, because you need assets to build your campaign. And I have the basic story done, but the actual heavy lifting of the drawing and stuff will happen once the campaign closes. And that's how it was with the Chinook too. But I'm one of those deadline guys. I set schedules for myself, and I get X amount of pages done per week, and that way I know exactly where I'm at. And here's the other thing too, is that if you really want to be successful in bringing folks back after your first campaign, is keep them in the loop.
Yeah.
You have to give them updates. And for me, what I do is I do an update every single Monday. So they expect it. And I tell them every Monday, this is what I got done last week. Here's how many pages I wrote. Here's how many pages I penciled. This cover just came in by Aaron Lepresti, and it looks awesome. Here's a sneak peek of it. That kind of stuff. So it goes into what I talked about in the beginning before you guys came in, is that relationship, because that's what it's all about. It's about building relationships with your fans, because they can't get that from corporate comics. They have access to you and your projects, and they're a part of it, and they should feel like they're a part of it, because they're investing their time and their money and trusting in you to deliver something to them.
Well, to be honest, I wouldn't be able to do it without them.
Exactly.
It's simple. The only reason I can do Black and White Volume 2 or Chrono Mechanics or whatever it is because of them. And I'd like to think that giving them a good product, putting all my heart and soul into it, and getting it done in a somewhat timely fashion and delivering what I say I'm going to do, fulfilling that type of thing. And also my wife helps me with fulfillment. I think Billy's wife does too. And she's just great with those relationships. So it's like, if somebody has a problem, boom, she's on it. She takes care of it. We fix those things as quickly as humanly possible. And so that's just good. That's just good for business, that, it's like you said, you update, but then also when there is a problem, that you're able to deal with it in a timely fashion. And just to go back on what you said too, I've said this, and I think this is what's amazing about what we're doing right now, is that DC and Marvel will never be able to do this.
Right.
Wrangle like 5 of us, together at the top of our game and talk about comics, because if they ever do, they're going to have to either contract it with those guys or pay them. Because I don't know about you, but if DC wanted me to do this and promote their book, they'd have to pay me. I wouldn't do it for free.
Yeah.
That's right. You don't own it.
Yeah.
Right. They own everything. It behooves them to do everything then.
Yeah.
And then how heart and soul is it going to be? How passionate am I going to be? Like, it's like you said, it's not, I don't own it. I don't own the IP. It's just another book that I'm working on. My contract is month to month.
Yeah, see, I did that, though. I actually did do that. I did when I was doing Sergeant Rock, and when I was doing, the Marvel stuff in the DC, I had a Newsarama column. It's called Hellion for Hire. And it was just every week I had a new thing, and talking about the book and talking about the history of Sergeant Rock. I'll just use Sergeant Rock for an example. And, then the pages, the breakdowns of the pages, here's breakdowns. Here's now the full, the final pencils. Now here's Brian Miller's colors. When I was working on Marvel, let's talk about Tom Palmer. And I would show the page. And after a while, and I did it for a long time. And then I'm like, why am I doing this? They don't care. They don't appreciate it.
Yeah.
I was promoting their book far more than they did.
Well,
Eric will give you a bonus for it.
Yeah, on this, it's like when the New 52 launched, they encouraged everybody to promote these books. Like DC was like, go out, use your social media, talk it up, blah, blah, blah. And I was like, at first I was like, yeah, not really. But then I started thinking, well, I need to build, myself as a name, as a brand and things like that. So I will do it. But then I started noticing that DC started sending out what you should say, what you shouldn't say. You know what I mean? They started setting parameters because people were saying things that they didn't like.
Yeah. But that didn't apply to their editors.
Right.
That's true.
Yeah.
They can go out there and shoot their mouths off and tell you what horrible people you are because you didn't buy their crappy book. And
right.
They crap on the fans and on the readers and blame them for the crappy material they put out.
Yeah.
Right.
Not only that, but then you have some of them saying, if you don't like my politics, don't buy my book. The thing is, that's not their book. That's DC's book.
Amen.
Keep your fucking mouth shut. You
Yeah.
know, when you write your own book and you're self-publishing your own comic, then you could say that.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
You know,
If you want to do a
don't buy my
polemic
book.
spree, do it. But then you got to stand behind it.
Right.
But the thing is, you can be a Democrat, you can be a Republican, you can be a Christian, and you can be an atheist. It doesn't matter. You can still like Superman, or you can still like She, or the Shanu, or Garbage Man, or any of these books.
Right.
It doesn't mean anything. You can still like and enjoy these stories. So to say that is absolutely short-sighted on every level.
Yeah.
Why would you
It's foolish. It's just stupid, because that's why I mean, getting involved in a political discussion or a discussion of anything meaningful on social media is a complete waste of time to begin with.
Right.
But if you're a business, which we are, why would you want to potentially alienate half your audience by it's like, we have our personal feelings about stuff, but that has no bearing on the product I'm selling these people, and it shouldn't factor into whether or not they want to buy it or not. It should be
Exactly.
the quality of the product. My interest in this, I don't care what Aaron's politics are, unless he shoves it down my throat, which I'm not going to do. I'm just
Right.
going to say, here's my book. If you like it, buy it. I hope you do. And you put a lot of work into it. You make it look good, and you make it worthwhile. And but don't handicap yourself by taking shots at people that are potentially going to buy your book. It's just foolish.
It makes no sense. And also, Dan, I'm sorry, I forgot.
Yeah.
I forgot Black Flag, so I apologize.
Oh, dude, nobody's keeping score here, man.
I'm keeping score. He forgot.
I mean, it's all good. It's all good.
What do you guys think? I mean, Graham, obviously I was I listened to your intro and everything. You talked about your price point, and this is the one thing that concerns me a little bit about crowdfunding long term, is the price point per comic.
Mm-hmm.
Do we get to a point where the novelty wears off a little bit, and they say, I bought, we'll use me for example. We bought Aaron's first project and I paid $25 for it. And yeah, it was cool. But then now I'm on Aaron's fifth project, and it's like, do I really want to keep spending $25 for a comic book? Are you guys concerned about that going long term? And if you are, what's the solution?
The answer for me is no. I'm not concerned about it, because we are not traditional publishers. We are we're boutique comics.
Yeah.
And it's like other boutique products, you have to offer things that you can't get from the big box stores, if you will. You know. So in boutique comics, you're producing a quality product. I mean, not just in its content, but in the actual product you're holding in your hand. I think people will pay for that value. And then there's the interconnection too with the creator, which you can't get anywhere else. And if you make that an enjoyable experience for your backers, they'll want to come back, and you give them a product that they enjoy, because what we're producing is entertainment. And if you deliver on that promise and give them something entertaining, I think that they'll continue to follow you, because you are different than Marvel and DC. You're producing boutique comics.
Yeah, I've heard different analogies used. One is the automobile. You got your Honda, Toyota versus your Mercedes and whatever. I like using fast food as analogies all the time. And you can go out and get your McDonald's burger and pay your 99 cents for it, or you can go somewhere else and pay for the $6 burger. And if it's a good burger, you're going to go back for the good burger, because the other shit is shit.
That's a good analogy. Yeah, it's a good analogy.
Or if you just want something fast and easy, then you can pay the 99 cents. You have the option. It's the free market. You can decide with your money. And also, I think Ethan Van Sciver said it. These are event books. These are events. This is red carpet stuff. Like we campaign for these things for months. You know what I mean? We put time into it, like months into just launching it. And then when we launch it, it becomes like our entire focus for a month, 2 months. These are events. These aren't just like monthly comics. And what I want to do and I learned from Black and White is I was thinking that I could kind of serialize these as like cliffhanger endings, like a monthly comic. And what I realized is that it's you really can't do that with as many hats as that we wear. And like Dan said too, like that life, comes and happens, and there's all kinds of, I've never done anything like this before, so I was never trained, like working with printers and different vendors and all this other stuff. So it's all like it's a learning process. But in the end, it really is. It's a one of a kind product that is an event. It's an event in my life, and then if I can generate enough enthusiasm by creating it, then hopefully I can bring other people into backing Black and White or Chrono Mechanics or whatever it is. So my goal really is just I think of them as events, and then I just put everything I have into it. And then somebody said, how long? I think Aaron was like, how long do you think it will last? Well, I think that there's usually like an 8 to 10 year trend in comic books. I've noticed. I've been doing it almost like 4 decades now. And so you can kind of monitor it. There's usually about a 10-year like movement in comics, like, oh, it's Image, oh, it's Marvel, oh, it's whatever it is. And usually it'll ride for about 10 years if it's substantial. And I think what we're doing right now is substantial. Do I think it will permanently go away? No, but I think that we're going to be able to ride this for at least a decade. That's my belief in what we're doing, and people like us are getting out in front of the curve. So I think we're going to do way better. I know Dan knows this. People that came in towards the last years of Image, when Image started declining, those guys are like, how much were you making? What's happening? And then they're like pissed off because they were making a fraction, just like a small fraction of what you were doing, even 2 years prior. You know what I mean? So these things do go in trends. Yeah. And I don't think crowdfunding is going to go away, but I think we have about a decade.
Well, what's the alternative too? Another thing is Aaron, where do you think comic shops are going to be 10 years from now, 5 years from now?
What I really think is, I'm not sure.
You put it on Aaron for some reason. It's like, hey, Aaron, what's the future?
Well, that's a question. That's what I'm just saying.
I have no confidence that unless a comic shop is so diverse in terms of what they're selling, like other product, that they're not going to be in business. Because I don't think DC and Marvel are going to be, especially if DC goes all digital, which looks like that may be their plan, with the exception of a few books. That's not going to. You can't sustain a store selling 5 DC books and 10 Marvel books a month, or 5 Marvel books, and I think that's the way they're all going. Yeah. So
I'll tell you, man, the digital is it's a mixed bag for me, because I grew up going to comic shops. I have a lot of friends that are retailers going back in the my preteen years, and it's very much part of my DNA, the retailer. I always have a hunger for the tangible, and when you weigh out the pluses and the minuses, obviously I don't want retailers to go out of the way. But when I see something like DC saying, no, we're going to go digital, that only makes the part of me that wants tangible to go and grab more tangibles. So for me, I almost like, for what we're doing, if it's going to drive them to us, then go ahead, DC.
Yeah. Well, me talking to guys at DC that were in charge of digital, the story I got, and this was a couple years ago, is they were saying, look, there's a digital audience out there, but it's capped. It's not going to grow. And they tried different ways to get a bigger digital presence, and they found out that there's certain people that want to buy published books, and there's people that are okay just reading them on their iPad or whatever. But that number change. You're not going to suddenly get this explosion of people diving into digital content for comics. And so I think if Marvel and DC, especially DC, because I think they're about to do it, I think that's a huge dead end for them.
Let's take a different angle, though. I have, and thanks to Graham, thanks to guys like Chaikin putting this old school bug up my ass I've been doing crazy research. I read every issue of Foom. I've been reading all the comic readers. Two Moros puts out these really great books called Marvel Comics in the 60s, Marvel Comics in the 70s, Marvel Comics in the 80s. I've read those cover to cover. The thing that was intoxicating about comics, and it's something that we have in crowdfunding, we have in Comicsgate, is that there's a sense of community, right? We're doing comics for comics' sake. We're doing them because we love them. We're talking about companies that they're not comic companies anymore. DC is not a comics company. Marvel is not a comics company. What they put out, that digital comic, may be just enough to suffice in keeping that license alive, or keeping that property enough alive for that corporation to make whatever shows or whatever they're going to make off of it. We're in a different game, guys. We are like, we're Marvel in the 60s. Like I keep telling my guys, you know, when I say my guys, I mean my Incredible Comics guys. I look at like when Stan and Jack and Don Heck and those guys were doing what they were doing. They were on the heels of all the crap that was happening in the 50s. And they were doing it for the, I mean, it sounds crazy, doing it for the culture. We're still doing it for the culture. They are not. They aren't.
Right.
Yeah, we stand on the shoulders of giants, and
yes, we do.
It's in our lap now to carry that over. You know,
Yep.
I think it was real clear when DC moved from New York City to
Burbank.
Yeah, and they're right in with the Warner Brothers, the studio, and Legendary, and all that stuff. So I do think that DC, and they paid a hefty price for it. They were playing the Hollywood gamble. Dan DiDio, Jim Lee, Jeff Johns, Diane Nelson. They were all like doing a cash grab, and they thought that they had the next Marvel universe, cinematic universe. And they brought it over, and they soon realized it's a different beast, man. You might be the king of comics, but even though you're owned by a parent company, Warner Brothers, it's a completely different beast. And I know you know this, Dan, and I know it. I mean, Hank Canals, and we know a lot of people, and they'll tell you it's a completely different beast. Like Hollywood, and even though it's all owned by Warner Brothers, I'll tell you, the studio doesn't give a damn about the publishing division.
Yeah, and AT&T gives even less.
Yeah, that's true. That's now we even have another step. Yeah.
Hollywood is like, why continue to make comics? Or AT&T is like, why do you continue to make comics when you've got 80 years of stories? We can strip mine those stories into our IP, and we don't have to pay out all these costs to produce comic books, which is why you're seeing DC and Marvel slashing their workforces. Well, I don't know if Marvel started that yet, but obviously DC's bloodletting is Legendary now. There's nobody there to turn the lights off practically. And there's certainly very few people, if anybody, that has editorial skills.
Oh, there's nobody. Yeah, I mean, how many times do you guys got this? Like the last couple of years is like, I'll get back to you. You have a question for the editor, and they're like, well, I'll get back to you. Like this is a monthly schedule. You have no time to get back. That's a day. You've already lost a day with one simple question.
How about reference? You need reference for
Oh God.
And you'd think that they would have a turnaround sheet of any of these major characters, so that assistant editor is running now through the digital files to find these shots of Underpants Man or whatever this character is, and then he doesn't give you the turnaround, so you don't know what the back of that guy looks like. It gives you a headshot, but you don't know what the back of that mask looks like. I mean, it used to drive me absolutely nuts.
Exactly.
The editor would go, oh, I'm sorry, this isn't the best shot available, but it'll have to do. And like you said, the character could even be a full front-on shot, but he's in shadow, or he's like this big in the panel.
Right.
How am I supposed to figure this out?
Right, does he have any doodads on the back of his cape, or things, or stripes, or piping, or what?
And then when you make a mistake because you don't have the proper reference, about when the things to go to print, they're like, oh yeah, you screwed this up. Can you change these? We need patches, and you're like,
Make your own books. Do your own books. To hell with these idiots. Make your own book.
Like
books. Anyone can do it. Anyone out there watching, you guys can do this. Look at Charlie's London. Look at her with a book doing a graphic novel, a graphic. How would we say it? A
biography.
Biography graphic, right? And I came up with the word. She's over $43,000 now on this biography of Charlie Chaplin. A heartfelt, story about Charlie Chaplin that no one's really cared about Charlie Chaplin. Unfortunately, who I love in the past 50 years, 60 years. And it's
charismatic, and she's promoting it, and she's getting out there. And the book was terrific. She hired a good artist. Yeah.
And that's it. And it's fantastic. And if she can do it, and she'll tell you, she's a full-time school teacher, she's married, she's got a life, and yet she's out there promoting every single day, promoting her book after writing it, and working with her artists, with her editors. And it looks fantastic.
Yeah. I back that project. It looks great.
Yep.
Gentlemen, I'm on the West Coast and I have to go fix dinner. So I'm going to have to bail out of here, but I'll come back and watch the tail end of this. So keep talking and dropping nuggets of wisdom, will you, for me?
It'll be on my YouTube channel, Aaron, so you can catch it. If you miss anything, you can rewatch it back there.
And bring Garbage Man back to put it on Indiegogo.
Yes, indeed.
It's coming.
All right.
All right, bud.
I'm excited. You guys got me pumped up. So, and I'm glad I know people that know what's going on, so I have resources to hold my hand as I jump into this.
Hey, reach out with any questions anytime, Aaron.
And also, Aaron has a YouTube channel, so you guys listening, if you don't know, go subscribe. Aaron actually draws on his channel, which is amazing.
I don't just talk about it, man. I do it. Anyway, Graham, hey, thanks for having me on, man. It was good to see you guys. It was great talking.
Thanks, Aaron.
Take it easy, man.
Talk to you guys soon.
All right, see you, bud. Hey, Aaron, he just did an alternate cover for me for Alien Alamo too, and it looks great.
Outstanding.
Yeah.
He's fantastic.
I suckered him into a variant on Chronomechanics, so I got a variant by Aaron as well. Yeah.
Excellent.
Yeah.
Excellent. He's a good guy, good artist too.
Great guy.
Yeah.
And we need more Italians in this industry. The industry should be overrun with Italians. Now where do all the Italians go? Not enough Gindaloons in the industry.
Now, Billy lad, we need more Irish. We don't need those. You don't need those Dagos in this place.
Yeah, I got the Mick here.
That's
I
right.
got the Brazilian Knight below us.
Uh-huh.
And I got Tex over here. What are you, German or something? Or French?
Frenchie, Texas.
We're already a team. We can go behind enemy lines and fight the rats.
We're international, man.
Well,
right.
I just
said we're all American.
We're all darn tootin' we are.
Yeah, darn right.
Well, let me tell you, I know I have French in me. Well, that's the word, but I got for Christmas the Ancestry.com.
Yeah.
So I did it yesterday and I sent it in today. So, but my mother says she thinks that my father's side, who I don't know, my father was killed in an accident before I was born. So we don't know that side of the family. And I don't know if I told you this, Graham, but she's threatening, saying that she believes that her mother-in-law was Irish. Her last name was Stevens, Josephine Stevens. It does not sound like an Irish name here.
Can you imagine Billy finding out that now St. Patrick's Day is one of his holidays?
Oh. Well, I'm gonna do it live, and I will invite you guys onto the show when I do it live to find out just what the hell I am.
I don't think I could survive.
Well,
Billy's a man without an identity. He has no idea who he is.
I have no idea who I am, but I'm going to invite Thomas Lennon on too, because I'm suspecting if I'm Irish. If I'm Irish, Nolan, let me tell you, Flag with the shamrock.
Oh, the brogues will be coming out. It's on the green for sure, lad.
I might even drink Irish whiskey that day.
I'm a big fan of the shillelagh, so you're gonna whack us all with the shillelagh, right?
Oh my God!
Are you gonna force us to kiss the Blarney Stone?
Yes, I'm already having a Boxing Day party because I am English. I know I'm English, so I'm gonna have a Boxing Day party next 26th December 2021. I've had it. Look at that, Billy O'Tucci. Not her. The caretaker of all Killarney Castle.
Billy.
Everybody's making fun of me, Lucky Charms.
Oh my God.
Oh
my God.
See what I'm talking about, people? That test better not come back with any Irish blood. That's all I got to say.
Well, would you come on live when I open it up?
I would.
All right.
I would.
I hate the Irish. I got to be honest.
Hysterical.
All my friends, Murphy, Mitchell, McHugh, every bar we go into, every bar.
And then there's the Italian.
I got to punch somebody in the face, and then who's getting thrown out the window? Tucci's getting thrown through the window.
Shit.
So I'm glad you guys all joined in to learn about how to make independent comics and decide whether independent comics or mainstream. But Aaron had asked if I'm strictly self-publishing. Actually, I make my living by doing comic conventions now. So I just did a convention last week. I've done 15 conventions already this year.
Really?
No way.
No.
Fuck, man. I'm like, what the hell? Where are you going?
Yeah, right.
No. I got invited to a convention.
Going to the morgue.
Yeah, no, I got invited. I'm like, yeah, I'm not into doing it. I like being home. To be honest, I really love being home. You know what I miss most about the conventions is, interacting with fans right, at the show. And then afterwards, when we do this exact same thing, but with scotch cigars in our hands.
That's right.
Yeah.
You know, my favorite thing about doing comic conventions is there's always one drawing that you do under serious duress, right? There's somebody riding you. There's like all this chaos going on at the booth or in your aisle. And then you look at it and you go, wow, this is pretty cool.
Yeah.
I always hope for just that one drawing every day, because most of them I'm just like, I'm not real happy with it. But then there's that one drawing, and usually it's under the worst working conditions. Somebody spills a drink on your table, like there's always some craziness going on, and then you look at it and go, it was worth it.
Yeah, and then you say, oh, can you? And then you give me your email on the back, like, can you scan this in and send it to me?
Yeah. You want to see it again, yeah, or show it off on social media, yeah.
Dan, I actually think I ruined a Graham Nolan commission.
What?
If you can go back to Graham, let's see us. Remember, Graham was doing a commission. I walked by and he had a crowd of people around him. I just said, "Zip it, hippie."
That's right.
Shit.
Whoops.
That was great.
Yeah.
Where was? Oh, that was that was Rhode Island.
Rhode Island.
Yeah.
And then we drank that night and laughed.
Well, I'm going to run down. Are we going to keep going? Because I'm going to get another beer. Is that cool?
I'm trying to convince my kid to bring me a coffee, but he's not answering his damn phone.
Here's the convention, Billy.
Oh my! Look at this! Look what we are! Look at this!
Why are you touching his wiener, Billy?
He's burning my arm.
That's what happens when you
Look at the glow. Look at the glow.
The Graham Nolan Hawaiian shirt night.
That's right.
Burn the shit at it. Look at this psychopath. Look at this.
Look at that. That was a fun night.
That was a fun night.
Remember that girl, that French girl who came out, because it was a windy night, and we didn't have any torches to light the cigars, so we had to get some matches, and they weren't working because it was all windy. And this French girl comes out, and Billy went up to her and asked her if she's got a match or a lighter, and she says, "Yeah, I got a lighter." And she goes, "Oh, that's great." So we lit the cigars with her lighter and gave it back to her, and we start talking to her, and she's pretty well lit, and and she says, "Billy, I think it was you who offered her a cigar. You want to try this cigar?" She goes, "I'd never smoked a cigar," and she goes like this. She goes, and out the nose.
No.
Like,
Woo!
like,
Yeah.
whoa.
That was that Mohican.
You don't inhale. You don't inhale.
No. Yes. corrupted another young lass corrupted by Nolan.
So she smoked a few cigarettes if that was her go-to.
Oh, yeah, she was a burnout.
That's what she was doing out there. Yeah.
Burnout,
That was funny.
She was, and then she got her and she, inhaled a cigar.
Yeah.
That would make me turn green.
Well, that's the fun of those conventions, is those things. So, like hanging out like that afterwards.
Yeah.
Just like we're doing virtually now. You kind of hang out, you have some drinks, have some cigars, talk smack. It's bitch and moan about whatever's going on. It's a lot of fun.
Yeah.
I miss it.
The only thing that we missed because you can't do it here, but remember, that's where you get all your scoop.
Oh yeah.
When you get the editors bombed, or some writers, and they just start bitching about other writers or artists. This fucking ass.
What I started doing, because I was like, I really wanted to change the industry. So I kind of, before I left DC, I was like, okay, these page rates are like, we're being paid just like peasants to do these comic books. I mean, with a lifetime of knowledge going into it, the amount of work that we're putting into it, I mean, we should be paid 20 times the amount that we were or are. And so I remember like finding out like what some inkers were making. And then I was like, I talked to Richard Friend and I can't remember some of the other guys. And we were just like, what we should start doing? We should start sharing page rates, because that's taboo. You don't do that in the industry. You don't talk about this. And I was like, I think people need to know. And so we started doing
always did that. Always did. Anybody asked me, I told them right out, because that's where power comes from.
Exactly. That's what I was convinced of. Yeah.
Yeah, they keep you in the dark about it, and you don't know what's fair rate and everything.
Yeah, so I told Bob Almond, because Bob runs the the Inkwell Awards and stuff like that. And so, I started talking about like, what about like an inker in the round? Like we would have, since it's kind of an inker, not centric con, but there's a big focus on inking is it the Charlotte show? I can't remember which show it is, but where they had the Inkwell Awards. And so I started talking about these things more, and other inkers were like, they were down with it. They were like okay with it. And I said, we need to have like some kind of powwow where we get together once a year and we start sharing these stories. And I think if the publishers started realizing that we all know this information, they're going to have to be more competitive with the rates. And so we know what the low and the high is and all these other things. So then you guys know what your street value is. And so almost everybody was in agreement. And so every time I'd go to a convention, I had these seminars, these ink seminars. I did it for about a year, and I'd have people, and then whoever the inker was in the area, we would invite them in, and we'd do these seminars. And then we'd just start sharing these stories like you guys are talking, like after the show, what's your page rate, all these things, and say, the industry isn't going to change until this is almost like universal knowledge.
They hide behind policies and things too, though, because when I left comics for 17 years, and one of the straws that broke my back was I was at Marvel, and I was at Marvel at 97, and then I came back in 2001, and they gave me a $10 page boost on my 97 rate, right? And I'll just tell you, it was like, it went from 155 to like 165, something like that, right?
Is that penciling,
for penciling.
Okay.
Right. And I didn't think anything of it, because again, nobody was talking about it. Right. And then my buddy won the Marvel talent contest, and he called me up and he wanted advice, because, old man Frega, whatever. Which sounds weird, but he says, hey man, I just want to know if this. Thank you, sweetheart. I want to know if this rate is fair. He said that it's their beginner rate, and I wanted to make sure it was fair. And I said, well, what'd they quote you? And he said 210 a page, and I said 210. That is far more than I'm making a page.
Mhm.
And I called my editor and I said, what the fuck is this? And at the time I'd been in the business for 10 years. I said, I've been in this business for 10 years. How are you paying me under what you're paying the new guy? Well, and this is what you get back. Well, our policy is that, you know, your old rate is this. So technically we gave you a raise, and, you know, we can't give you more than, you know, this much of a raise, or we'd be breaking policy. And I said, then kill my old contract.
Yeah.
Like, or whatever whatever paperwork you have, pretend I'm the new guy. Oh, we can't do that. And it really pissed me off. And then I went over to DC and they're like, oh, we can only give you so much more than your Marvel rate, which was still less than the new guy rate at Marvel.
Right.
Yeah, and that's still bullshit.
Yeah.
Yeah, they
I
have
remember having a conversation with Mike Carlin when I was working on Superman, and I asked him for a raise because I was still kind of from, you know, Joe jobs where you get an annual raise or whatever. And so I've been working with him for a year. So I figured, I should get a raise. So I asked him, he goes, no. I said, no. He said, why would I give you a raise when Kurt Swan hasn't got a raise in? And I was like, well, if Kurt Swan wants a raise, he should ask you for a raise. I said, why should I, you know, be penalized because I'm asking for a raise, and Kurt Swan, you guys are paying him pennies? Pay him more. Like, why does this have to do with?
That was
such a weird like connection. Like, why would you?
I'm not a hockey fan, but I met this legendary player named Gordie Howe.
You met Gordie Howe?
Yeah. We did a convention together up in Toronto in the 90s. And somebody told me, they go, that guy's either loved or hated. And I said, why? He's the sweetest guy. And they said that they're mad at him for being such a sweet guy because when he was on what was it, the Red Wings?
Red Wings, yeah.
Yeah, when he was on the Red Wings, he never asked for a raise. So it is the same situation when players would go, hey, you know, I should get paid what so-and-so on other team. They go, you're on a team with Gordie Howe, and Gordie Howe is one of the greatest all-time players, and he's never once asked for a raise. You think you're better than Gordie Howe? Get the fuck out of here.
Right.
Wow.
Yeah. I was same type of thing happened to me, Art, when it was right in we were working on Nightfall and stuff. It was actually after Nightfall. It was Night Quest or Night's End or one of those things, but it's still, that train was still rolling. And I was the main guy doing all the design work for all that. And I was the fastest guy too. So I would do like ancillary character designs and send them off to the other guys because I needed them first. So I did all this extra work. I was the go-to guy when somebody was late. I'd fix pages for them. I was doing all this other stuff. And I walked into the office one time. We were having a meeting. And I walked into Scott Peterson's office, and there was a bunch of paychecks sitting on the table. And I just happened to look at one of them for one of the guys who was working on one of the other Bat books. And he was making like $20 more a page than I was. And I'm like, what the? And I looked at Chuck. Chuck was with me, and he knows me. I've got a very slow burn temper. But when it goes off, it goes off. It's like Nagasaki, you know? And he could see me seething. You know, and so we sat in that meeting, and I'm skull fucking these guys, you know, looking across the table at them. And then I said to my editor, I said, can I talk to you? And Chuck is like, oh my God. And they all scattered out. And I went off. I was ticked. And, but, you know, Scott was great about it. You know, it's not his fault. And they gave me a really good substantial raise after that. But what ticked me off is the thing we talked about, that they're not going to offer it to you. You got to ask for it.
Right, exactly. Yeah.
You know, you're not getting it on merit. Like, my God, look what this guy's doing for us. We need to bump up his rate, you know, to keep him.
Kurt Swan, we should just give him a better rate because
Kurt Swan should have been given a rate. You know, they should have given him a whatever.
A Lincoln.
God.
Jeez. That's why I hate them. I got to be honest with you. And I really don't care. They have no effect on me whatsoever. The more they fail, the better we do. You know, let the cream rise to the top. And it just
so there is no loyalty. So
yeah, there's no loyalty whatsoever, and they proved it when that when the comic shops closed down, 2 weeks after the comic shops closed down, these multi-billion-dollar companies tell all of their artists, or the vast majority of them, the upper echelon, they say the top 4 or 5 writer, pencilers and inkers, they, on the big books, they kept working, but everyone else, nothing. They tell them to put their pencils down because they can't pay them $125, $110, a page.
Yeah.
To pencil a
for 8 hours.
Well, I remember having a conversation with Dan Jurgens, and we were like, the artists are the artist writers are solely responsible for the sales of these books. That's it. So if a book fails, they'll go, oh, well, it's the writer, or it's the penciler, or it's the whatever, right? But the thing is, you guys have all worked on books that were really good that the company just didn't get behind.
Yeah.
So the thing is, my thing always, they point the fingers at us. My finger goes pointing back to you're supposed to sell the product. We create the product. You sell it, and they don't. Like that's the one thing. It's like they have these job positions at like DC and Marvel, like sales, head of sales, department of whatever, and marketing. And I'm thinking, what do? Do you realize all 4 of us do what those guys do every day? Mm-hmm. Like we work editorial, we market, we promote, we produce, we do all those things. We do what those guys do, and we're just one person. And I just think like they're making bigger salaries like marketing and sales than I'll ever make for the company. And all they do is run a diamond ad.
Yep.
You know what I mean? Like that's their job. They just go, oh, well, here's a new Batman book. Let's run it in a diamond ad, and then they get their, $100K, $200K, whatever their salary is,
Plus their benefits and their 401 and everything else.
Right. And it's like, well, what have you done? You really didn't sell this, like I this is what it was. Like Dan Jurgens did a run on Thor, and I think JR drew it, or it was something like that. And I loved that book. I thought it was really good, but then Marvel just canceled it or whatever. And I think that's where the conversation came from, because I was telling them, like, I loved the run. I thought it was great. And, they just canceled the book. And I was just like, that's crazy. It's a great book. Yeah.
Crazy.
I killed the dream with my story.
Yeah,
but it does. Oh, go ahead.
I was just saying it's getting late. We've been on here now for an hour and a half.
Wow.
That's it? Hey, I'm on the East Coast, dude.
Right.
I think you're only an hour ahead of me, right? Now I'm.
What part of Texas you in?
I'm in the Woodlands, so I'm kind of Houston, like slightly above Houston.
Oh, okay, yeah. So I think you're only one time zone.
Yeah, you're an hour. I think we're an hour apart now.
So it's 8:33 there?
Yes.
Okay. Yeah. How you liking that? How you liking it out there?
I love it. The community is great, and everything is bigger in Texas. So that old adage is true. There's space here. The food tastes better. I don't know how they did it, but the food tastes better. My wife and I are loving it. Yeah, the area.
It tastes like freedom, doesn't it, buddy?
There's that too.
It tastes better, and for at least the time being, Texas is free.
Yeah. Well, when all your fellow Californians move in there, it's going to become just like South Florida. They're going to vote in the same crap that they left there for.
Yeah, they get everything they want, right? And they move to Arizona. So they move from California, arguably the most beautiful state in the nation, right? From the Golden Sands to the beautiful High Sierra Mountains. They leave. They flee the most beautiful state in the nation to move to the desert, to Arizona, to Phoenix, which is in the middle of a valley, even in the middle of Death Valley. And then what they do? Why? Because they realize that state doesn't work. So once they flee that state, after they voted for every single thing they wanted. They got everything they wanted. They voted for all that crap.
Right.
Right. But they realize it doesn't work. Then they come to these red states. They'll come to Arizona. They'll come to Florida. They'll come to Texas. And now they're trying to vote again for everything they just fled.
That's right.
They're like locusts. They're moronic locusts.
Well, just to clarify, I mean, one of the things my wife and I, when we moved here, we talked to each other and we just said, we're not bringing the California mentality to Texas. We want to be Texans. You know, we want to be part of this great state. We want to embrace everything there is to embrace here. So I have no, I mean, I was born and raised Southern California. So, it doesn't even feel like it's a big deal for me to give that up. You know, I really.
Gun yet, Art?
What's that?
Your first gun yet?
I'm actually going to, and Billy was telling me, don't get a pistol. Like he's trying to get me to get a pistol.
Yeah, get a pistol.
Get a Colt 40. Get a nice 1911.
1911.
45 ACP. You know why they make? Why because they don't make 46s. So get a nice 45.
You ever find
I looked into that. I'm sorry.
Get an AR-15. Get an AR-15 and get yourself a pistol.
I think that's what you told me, actually.
Yeah.
The ARs are impossible to get.
California, and it's just the regulations and stuff, the waiting list. It's just crazy. So I never did. And the one thing I do regret, this is my gun story, is my dad had guns, and I think it might have been on one of Billy's shows where he was in the Korean War, so he had a single bolt action rifle and it still had the bayonet like clip on the end. And I remember he used to just go through the motions with, when I was a kid, like I was like, that's badass.
Yeah.
I guess you've got to get good at like putting a bullet in, firing it off, and putting the.
You just got to be a man. It's ingrained in you. Man, when you were a little kid, there's little RT Bear running around with a stick like it's a gun.
Yeah, it was cool. Yeah. It was.
If you want to really be manly, you should get my favorite rifle, which is the M1 Garand, which is the World War II rifle. You ever see Band of Brothers, San Ojima, Longest Day? Get that and that's with that 8-round clip. You got the end block clip, 30-06. Because I'll show you, if you got a second, let me show you something. Hang on.
Well, the end of my story is that the rifle was gone. So, when my parents passed and we cleaned up the house, oh, there it is. We cleaned out the house. I didn't find that rifle. So I really wanted that rifle and it wasn't there. So I don't know what happened to it. Like sometimes you think back, like when you were a kid and you go, did that really happen?
Right.
Like, it had to have happened. But that rifle didn't exist. So I don't know what.
Can you read that?
Is that Chuck? What does it say?
Chuck Connors.
Chuck Connors. Oh, the rifle.
Yeah, boy.
Oh, that's cool.
All right, so here we go. Let me show you something. I heard you. So here's Chuck Connors at 30-30. There you go. So here is your M1 Garand, right? There you go, buddy. Look at that. There you go. Is that a 30-30?
30-30.
Yes, sir. So okay, so here you go. So this is this is a World War II. This is an end block clip. This is actually a clip. AR-15s have magazines. So if you get an SKS, don't get it. It's Soviet. It just doesn't feel right. That's it. But so here you go. So this is what it's an 8-round clip. You put it right into your M1 Garand. You slap it, right? Made a good old Kentucky walnut and good old, Pennsylvania iron. But so this is your bullet, right? This is your 30-06 bullet. This is your bullet for the World War II rifle. This is the bullet for the AR-15. And this is a comparison.
Yeah.
Ooh.
So look at that. So everybody talks about the danger, the oh my God, the bad guy gun, the AR-15, this killing machine, blah blah blah. That's the bullet for it. It's a 22 caliber bullet.
Yeah, it's a
It's 55 grains. Yeah, 55 grains of lead. This is your M1 Garand, the ones that our GIs carried in World War II. 150 grains compared to this. So
what I'm hearing from you, Billy, is you're telling them that they should ban the bigger bullets.
Oh yeah, that's exactly what I'm telling them. It's a hunting round. This is your hunting round. Andy
See
Smith.
what you're up into, Andy?
Well, hello.
Hello. There's the British Angel.
Look at that.
I'm getting
Giant
it.
bullet.
Firearms. We're talking about
Yeah.
the World War II bullet compared to, say, the AR-15 bullet.
Yeah, the AR-15 bullet's not that bad. I mean, yeah.
Fine. It's a 22. It's a 22 caliber bullet. That's all it is.
It's just a scary looking gun.
Yeah, it's black. Right.
It's
And it works
scary.
exactly the same as any other rifle.
Yeah.
That's
But
right.
Jim Kruger came. It's no politics. You're right, Jim. No, and good to Jim Kruger.
The sound of the clip getting ejected from the M1 is amazing too.
Oh, the ping! Yeah, man.
It goes, ting!
Yep, it goes ping, and I love it. I love my M1. It's my favorite rifle is my M1 Garand. Not that I have an AR-15 because they're not. I'm not saying I have one of those.
Yeah.
Well, what I'm hearing is bigger bullets, better.
Yeah, that's pretty much it. Shoot shit talk. Yeah, the Chinese gunpowder. I got to tell you. So my buddy of mine's got. I had an AK-47, and I gave it to my brother Philip for his 40th birthday. Sold it to him. For
his
$1.
birthday, you sold him a gun?
My brother. Yeah, you can rifles back in the day. You're going back 20 years. You can do that. It's a rifle. It's a long gun. So you could. I sold it to him, and he ended up trading it in and getting a pistol. Now AK-47s, they're like $2,000.
Yeah.
Wow. You know what he got me for my 40th birthday? I think a 6-pack. I think a 12-pack of Michelob Ultras. I think.
Oh, not even real craft beer.
Not even Irish beer. You know what I mean?
You got ripped off, man.
That's that. So, but yeah, go if you have a chance to get an M1 Garand when you go to your local gun shop, ask him, say, "You got any M1 Garands?" And his eyes will light up. Get one of them bad boys. Get that. You're out in Texas, man. Get your M1. You get your 45. Your 1911. Right, Graham? He'll be set.
Yeah,
One of the things is, like, even I think in Texas, they're limiting ammo, right? Like.
I don't believe that. Well, it's hard to get it because everyone's buying it.
Yeah, that's it. It's hard to get. Yeah.
Maybe that's it. Yeah.
Yeah. So what's up, Andy?
What's up, Andy?
Not too much. Just got off John Malin's Comicsgate Present Joe, so I was pitching my wares over there.
How'd that go?
It was good. It was good. It was fun.
You're having a lot of pings
on your site?
What's that, Grant? What?
Did you get a lot of pings on your site while you were there?
Yeah, I got a few, and then I was on Ethan this morning with these other two, and did that for a while and got some good hits on that too. So
Good.
yeah, it's going good.
You had 8,000, right? You were like one backer away from 8K, I think, this
Yeah,
morning.
it's at 86 now.
Oh, killer!
Excellent.
Yeah. Congratulations.
Thanks. Yeah, it's
What
going
were you
good.
at when you started this morning?
66.
Oh, okay. So you get about $2,000 in a day.
Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah.
Now start sending out updates. Graham does it once a week. I do several. I do like 2 a week, sometimes 3. It depends.
Yeah, you're really annoying.
I know. That's what I'm going to be. That's the thing that I worry about. Am I being annoying with it? Shit, I won't do it. I got a week left. And you won't hear about Tucci anymore.
That's right.
Oh, man.
Yeah.
What's
Hey,
Fraga doing? Is it just what? I see Dan.
Are you still there, Dan?
Oh, we lost Dan.
He fell asleep.
You hear him snoring.
He was drawing.
Yeah.
Oh, he was. Nice.
Can you hear me now? Can you hear
Yeah.
me now?
Oh yeah. Now
my
I can.
Yeti went out. I was here the whole time. It's just my Yeti went out. That's weird.
Oh.
Very weird.
Is it a blue?
Is it what? What are you saying, Artibel?
Is it blue?
It is not. It's a Yeti X. It came from Xavier.
Dude, that is a great impression. Screw that. Change that to Schwarzenegger, and we'll have people thinking we got the big guy on here.
I'm on here. I sold out.
I sold out.
I sold out.
That's pretty good.
Yeah, this Yeti, every now and then it just gives out.
Just have you redub that video that he did last week.
Hello, everybody. I know I sound like an asshole now, but I'm not. After being a governor, I had to give up my rights to be a real person. Now I am a phony who reads scripts.
Like a little girly man.
Little girl, don't eat meat anymore. I am a plant-based diet.
That's right.
That's awesome.
Is that true? So
Yeah, it's true. He did this whole thing, and I was like, Arnold, what happened to you, man?
Yeah. He had like
He
3
doesn't
open heart
need anymore.
surgeries. That's
No
what
wonder
happened.
he looks the way he does.
Yeah, he had a little heart trouble.
Yeah, 3 open heart surgeries from all the gear he was using.
Yeah.
Also said, like, steroids, like prolonged steroid use.
It's not steroids, it's meat juice.
Yeah. It's just creatine.
It's just creatine with HGH in it.
Yes, it's HGH creatine. Completely natural.
It's out.
It's all natural. Science has nothing to do with my body.
That's right.
Fraggle, you son of a bitch.
Son of a bitch, how are you?
What happened to you, Dylan?
Dylan.
Oh man, don't get me started. Don't get me started. Dylan, have you pushing too many pencils? What the fuck are you?
Oh man, I need to have you leave a
Good times.
voicemail on my phone and have voice.
I will. Hello, Graham. Graham can't pick up his phone because he's busy pumping pencils, making comics. Back his book.
That's his book.
Do it now.
Now.
Do
Get
it
to the
now.
canoe. Back Alamo now.
So wait, Graham, you're actually going out on Facebook Live too, right? Is that what you're doing here?
Right now?
Yeah.
Yeah. On both.
Oh, shit, my mom's watching.
Uh-oh.
Uh-oh.
We got to clean up our act, man.
Why? What's Facebook?
It's heavily policed.
Oh.
Oh, now I know
My
I'm
mom's
losing
watching.
friends.
And again, I'll never be half the man my mother is, so I shouldn't worry.
Oh
about
shit. Oh shit. That's amazing.
There's a lot of truth in that statement for a lot of people.
it. If you've ever met
And mothers are tough.
So Graham, have you met Billy's mom?
I have not met
I don't
Billy.
think Graham's not. I don't think any of you guys have met my mom. My mother's like 5'9",
Whoa.
Sicilian,
Shit.
and mean.
You with the frying pan? Like she'll whack you with the frying pan?
Yeah,
Is
she
that-
used to hit us with my father would shave with a razor strap. I'm the
Oh, yeah.
father of Seville, and had buckles. And she used to beat us with that. Oh my God.
Well, you haven't lived. You haven't lived till you got whacked with a Hot Wheel track. That was my mom's go-to.
Oh, that's nothing, dude. That doesn't
that-
feel like a Hot Wheel track, man. My parents use extension cords, hangers, belts.
I was gonna say hangers.
Anything Hot Wheel track, man. That's like buttering bread, dude.
Yeah, but the story is okay. So my mom she gets pissed off at my brother and I. She just rips into our Hot Wheel track. It had the purple little tongue thing, the little
Yep.
yes.
So she just running around the house, and we're just running in a circle. It's a small house, whacking us. Just anything she can hit, she's hitting, right?
Oh my.
And my brother and I just had this like weird moment, like this is the strangest thing. My mom is losing her shit, and we just start laughing. So like
no.
Rugrats are running around the house getting hit with a Hot Wheel track, laughing our asses off, and it's just making my mom more pissed.
Yeah.
She's doubling down with his Hot Wheel track, and she finally got one of us pinned in the corner. And it's like whack, whack.
That's funny.
We were supposed to be cleaning my room, right? Me and my 2 brothers. And we were fighting up in there and banging, smashing things around. And my mother came up, and we hear my mother coming upstairs that she's going to start beating us. So what do? We start scurrying around. I jumped in a leaf bag that we were using to throw all the garbage out, and I laid down, and all I heard was that door slam open, and my mother catching my brothers and just beating them.
A leaf bag trick. I need to learn that.
The thing is, when my mom was like you're chasing us, we both had we couldn't. our business was always our business. So we couldn't run outside the house, but you knew it was your sanctuary, right? You knew if you could get outside of the house, you could get distance from your mom. But the thing is, we never did because we knew we'd be in more hot water.
Oh, yeah.
If we left the house.
Yeah. Yeah, my mother chased me out of my underwear one time. I ran out. I was probably 6, 7 years old. I didn't care. I'm getting the hell away from that.
Better than the beating, right?
Better than the
What I'm
beating.
Yeah,
what I'm
but
hearing is all of us had parents that would hit us, but none of us had PTSD.
No.
Huh.
No, you sucked it up and you kept going.
Exactly.
I'm a better person because of the beatings, man. What do they say? Spare the rod, spoil the child.
Yep, there you go.
My kids are so fucking spoiled.
Oh my god, dude! I know.
My mom never hit me. I mean, she threatened to. She had a spatula that you decorate cakes with. And
Oh yeah.
She'd give us the look and reach for that spatula. My brother and I were running up the stairs before she could get to us. So she never actually had to hit us, but boy, there was always the threat of it.
Right. Well, that works too.
Yeah.
No, my mother beat
You
the
just were smart enough.
Yeah, dude. My dad used all kinds of punishments, man. Do you guys ever have to stand in the corner?
Oh yeah.
Yeah. See, my dad figured out ways to make it worse. It wasn't just stand in the corner. It was stand in the corner, don't move. If you move, I'm going to reset the timer. But he would never tell you how much time, and you would feel like I've been here for a year. You don't know how long, and then you get that inevitable itch in your ear, and if you scratch it, he resets the timer, and you're like, "But I've been here a year."
Oh,
and that dude, I would take a beating over the corner any day. Like, Dad, go to the corner, just beat me. Like just fucking
Get
beat
it
me.
over with.
Yeah.
yeah, my dad always did the mental torment, like go to my room, think about what you've done. And then my mom would just whack us like just visceral. Like if she just had a whim, she'd just whack.
Yeah. Good times, man. The 70s
times,
were
man.
great. Great. 70s were great.
Do you guys ever get your mouth washed out with soap?
Oh, yeah.
dude, yeah.
Lava
Oh
soap.
my god, the ivory soap, and my mother would take it and shove it up into your mouth, into your teeth.
Ugh.
Right?
Get stuck in your teeth? Yeah.
That's the last time I say C-U-N-T to my mom.
To my mom.
I still remember it. I said the word bitchin'. I said bitchin', and my mom was like, "Excuse me." Like I thought, well, she just didn't hear me, so I said it again, and then she's like, "Okay, well."
You're getting brash on a mama. Wow. Oh, shit.
And still to this day, I don't think bitchin'. I don't.
Mom?
Think that's a foul word. Yeah.
I mean, yeah, it's in songs, the bitch is back, I mean,
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. But apparently, it struck her as being wrong. And there's one thing, my mom, God rest her soul, I miss you, Mom, is I'm in my room and I'm just drawing, right? And I have all my favorite records sitting right next to. It wasn't a drawing board; it was like stupid vanity, and it had all kinds of. It was busted up. We were poor, and so I had my albums there, and the door just flies open. She grabs a stack of albums. I still don't know how she did this, and she cracked them right on the desk that I was drawing on, and then she just walked out and slammed the door. And I still, to this day, I don't know why. Like, what was I doing? Like, I don't know. Like, I just want to ask her, like, Mom, why did you do that?
Why did you ruin my records?
Yeah, she just had enough.
so at dinner that night, Art, you sit down, there's Mom.
Try not to make eye contact with Mom. No, you just don't make eye contact. You're just like, these are good veal cutlets, Mom.
Yeah. I got the song in my head. I wish I could hear it again.
Oh.
But I can't because my records are busted.
The Hot Wheel track comes out, and then
What did you say?
get the love out.
You don't know why I busted those records. Then
Did you ever tell your friends you have the most bitchin' record collection?
You had.
That's a twofer right there. Yeah.
That's right.
Ah, memories.
Yes.
Oh
Yes.
my God, that's hysterical.
And now you can't hit kids.
No.
I hit my son William once. I remember I told a story, and Darwin could love this story. So we were sitting around, and I said, we were just talking about kids. And I'm like one of the only ones who's actually a father there, the only one who's married and has kids. And I said, I hit my son William once, and it really broke my heart. I slapped him. He did something, and I slapped him. He's probably 3 years old or whatever. And I left a red mark on his face, and it broke my heart. And so I'm telling this story, and I said, but that little bastard, Matthew, that little bastard, I hit that kid. I got to hit that kid once a week, And I said, he's just like me, the little son of a bitch. You got to see him how he talks back here. And Darwin was laughing because he said, it's like, this is how he grew up. And he just said, everybody at the table, all these comic creators, you know what I mean? And their girlfriends or their wives are staring like this.
Abusive dad.
Apparently, I'm the monster now. But I stopped hitting him soon afterwards. But I remember Debbie was screaming we were at the Baltimore Comic-Con. And what was that say? Jasper 9 Plant.
Yeah. I'm just looking through see if anybody had any questions here.
Geez.
How hard would it be to have one printer do all the CG projects from the U.S. and ship internally? I think that would make a lot of sense. What do you guys think about that?
Yes, there's a company, I think it's Critical Blast, or actually they've created a company that will start doing fulfillment for everyone to send over to the UK or to overseas. And then they'll distribute it. They have a distribution center. I think it's a retailer or someone. So they'll ship everything together over to this retailer. Then the retailer will ship it out throughout Europe.
Oh, okay.
We're going to have them on the Pop XP soon. I think next week we have them on the Pop XP.
And was it Critical Blast?
Critical Blast, yep, great guys.
Yeah,
and they've got this company we're going to seriously look into that for sure.
Do they print it there in Europe, and then
No, you print them here, you ship them to them. Sort of like eBay does. That's what eBay does. When you ship stuff to Europe, it all goes to one collection center in Georgia or something, and then it's a lot cheaper to send a whole bunch of shit over to Europe in one big thing, and that's what Critical Blast is doing now for publishers, for crowdfunders, for Indiegogo guys and Kickstarter people. Send it to them. They charge a minimal fee, but it ends up being your cost ends up being cheaper, your overseas cost being cheaper, and it gets to them. Because we have a lot of problems with stuff overseas.
If you have stretch goal stuff and you have all those bells and whistles, do you send those as well, and then they put them together in a package?
I think you just send them the package, Art. You send them the package, and you send them, your Gemini mailer.
So they're not fulfilling. You're doing the fulfilling.
So you're doing the fulfillment. You send it to them, as far as I know, and then they ship it together with a giant lot of stuff every week or something, and they'll get it over, and that helps with customs and the whole deal.
So you get a cheaper price because you're mailing it all in one bulk.
Yep. And it's not only the cost too, though, because we've had like the few returns we have the majority of them are from Europe because of the customs. Customs is notifying the people, but if you can get it, especially you can get it to a retailer who he takes care of all of that. I mean, in the UK, or I believe it's in the UK, and then he distributes it out to the rest of Europe. It's a lot easier that way.
And sometimes they have to pay extra to get their books from customs and things like that as well.
Mm-hmm.
So
yeah, they do. Yeah,
there's a hidden charge for the customers in Europe. Yeah.
Yep.
Mhm.
Yeah, I do feel bad for that. That sounds like a plan. What I'd like to see is a printer setup as well. So like where you could have something like what you're talking about, but have a printer as well. So you could just send them the files, they could print it, and then they could fulfill it completely from that destination or that location.
Yeah, especially if you have a smaller. Now the thing is, though, are they going to print all your stretch goals too?
Yeah,
you know what? When you get into that, then you lose quality control. you have no quality control. And that's a risk that, I would much rather, besides I print in the US. I won't print overseas.
I ain't giving the Tricoms any of my money.
Yeah, exactly. Now, I want to keep Americans at work. So
that's right. Absolutely. I've never
I started doing the same.
Either.
Yeah, and here's the reality too, is that any kind of money you're going to save on their printing, you're going to lose in freight. They got to ship that stuff over on freighters to bring it back into the ports in California, and then it's got to ship across the country. I mean, your costs are, you might as well find a printer that's pretty close to where you are or your fulfillment center is, and use them.
Yeah, that's what I want to do. Now that we moved to Texas, I want to find a local printer and work with a local printer. When we were in California, we did have one that did all of our like trading cards, stickers, stuff like that. And I like that because there was a problem, we could deal with them directly one-on-one. The problem I was having, because we did start using printers here in the US, but I noticed that communication was a little bit of a problem, and then just time back and forth. So like trying, if you had a problem, working things out, stuff like that. And the one thing I have noticed, and I'm not trying to sell like China, or I've printed in Korea as well. The one thing I have noticed is when I send files to like Asia, Korea, or Global PSD, they always nail it the first time. Like the printing is like the comps, everything's right on. But the few companies I worked with here, like Mixum and a couple others, there's a lot of back and forth. So I don't know why, but there is a lot more back and forth that I've noticed. So I don't know if there's a difference in just the production quality, or if they get it better. But that's the only thing I've really noticed with domestic versus Chinese printers or Korean printers.
I used Fry Communications in Mechanicsburg, Pennsylvania. They handle all kinds of different printing and different it's a huge corporation. And I couldn't be happier with the quality of the book, of the Chenu. I mean, and as far as like when they shipped it, how many bad copies did we get? Of 2,000, I think I got 15.
That's awesome.
Oh, wow.
That's great. That's great.
Yeah, because of the box. They were laying in the box funny and stuff like that. And then there was like two copies that had problems with the binding, because it was that perfect bound, so it's glued.
Right.
That's the only issue. I mean, that's pretty damn good.
Yeah.
To have that few.
And there's always that Carl who has to pack that last book on the bottom.
That's right.
Cornered, or your book in there. Thanks a lot, Carl.
It's always a Carl, right?
Don't bring Carl.
That's right.
Or a Karen.
Or a Karen. You say that like the guy in Goodfellas. Karen.
Karen.
That's all we had. Why would you do that, Karen?
Karen.
Karen. Why would you do that, Karen? That's all we had. They were coming. They were on the toilet. Why would you do that?
Billy Tucci, I featured a Sergeant Rock story that you wrote in a Christmas comic video I did last month on my channel. Love that story so much.
Oh, thank you. Oh, man, I'd love to see that. If you wouldn't mind posting the link in the chat, I'd love to see that.
That dude has no fear, that guy right there.
No
He
fear.
does. He'll post the link. He's got no fear.
No fear. No fear.
Andy's getting welcomed in. Hail, Andy. When you get a hail,
Doctor, a good doctor.
Hello.
Uh-oh, what happened?
Hello.
we lose somebody?
I don't know.
Yeah.
Let's
All
see.
right, man. So you excited for your Buffalo Bills this weekend there, buddy?
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
Hey, have they said what's the deal with Mahomes yet?
I have not heard.
Yeah, there's no way he clears concussion protocol. And you see that moron I forget who it was that said
the game.
The game should be postponed until he clears concussion.
Oh, give me a break.
It's
No.
called football, dude. You know, people get hurt. That happens. It's bad luck, bad timing. What are you going to do?
Can you believe that? Yeah, people want to see that. Yeah, everybody wants to see that matchup. Yeah, you know, everybody wants to see Roger Staubach versus Terry Bradshaw again.
Yeah.
You know, come on, give me a break. You know, everybody, jeez. Oh, that's so big, so mad. Heard.
Dr. Mask has a question. He goes, "Can you guys talk about the ins and outs of stretch goals?"
Ooh, yes, we can, Dr. Mask. Let's get back on the subject.
Nicely played, though. Ins and outs of stretch goals.
Right.
Well played.
Well played.
I see that.
Yeah. You know, I think it comes down to when you're developing your stretch goals to have a good handle on how they're going to ship.
Mm-hmm.
You know, what you're going to add, the value that you're going to add to it. How is that financially? And how is it going to ship? Those are the two most important things that I think about when I add something as a stretch goal. How about you guys?
I do a reverse engineered thing, and I think I learned it while working at Mattel. We had this thing called cost reduction, right? And they did it at McDonald's. They do it at Mattel. They design the absolute best doll, right? Like they create the most epic doll, and they go, and they have like 3 price points. They got their $9.99 doll, their $19 doll, and their $30 doll, and someone decides, that's going to be our $10 doll, and they take all kinds of things off. They take the sunglasses away, they take the purse away, they take, you know, the cool hair away, whatever, right? So, but the thing that, like, whenever they do those San Diego Con special editions, they're giving you that one that they have at the show is the best of the best, right? So what I try to do with my comic is I go, what is it that I want Black Flag to be? Like I wanted it, to me, Dark Knight's my favorite comic of all time, so I wanted it prestige format. I know that costs more. I wanted posters to, you know, with the book, like Dark Knight had posters, you know, and I think of all these things that I want, and I go, okay, now let's cut it back to the what it's gonna be if I can only make this much. But if I make this much more, I can go square bound. And if I make this much more, I can add the posters. So I have this ideal in my head, and then I strip it back to the bare bones. And then my stretch goals get me to that place where I can finally put out the absolute thing that I wanted to, because the money is there for it. That's how I work my stretch goals out.
That's smart. That's very smart. That's good.
Because I've made that mistake. I've made, you know, we hit, you know, we make $2,500. Everyone gets this, and the stretch goal costs us $2,700 to make.
Right.
Yeah. You know, some I don't want to. They'll say nameless, but someone who's very successful at crowdfunding. They told us that your stretch goal should cost 25 cents and less.
Oh, really?
I've yet to find that stretch goal. You have to find that sort of thing. But
stick of gum.
Yeah, maybe it's something. It's fun stuff. You know, you can find fun stuff.
Yeah, because trading cards, they cost money to make.
Yeah, they do.
Stickers cost money to make. Bookmarks cost money. Posters do.
Yeah,
you know, and I mean, it all depends. It depends on your numbers, man. That's the thing that's crazy. Is it's like it's all a number thing.
Yeah, also depends on how many, like how many stretch goal items you have as well, because you can start promising the world and having a stretch goal every $1,000, dollars earned, and before you know it, you're in upside down just in stretch goal costs. So you have to definitely everything has to have a profit margin in it. So if it makes sense for a $10,000 leap to get a bookmark or a patch or something like that, then you have to do the numbers and see how much that's going to be, and to see if you're still going to be ahead with that stretch goal earn. Like if it's 1,000 people, then that 1,000 people has to cover the cost of that stretch goal, essentially with some kind of profit in there to make it worth your while to put it together.
Yeah.
I think stretch goals are amazing. I love them in the sense that you can really revigorate your campaign with a stretch goal, because if you're just kind of like, floundering, or things have kind of flatlined, you can come out and go, I have this great stretch goal. Like we did it with Chrono Mechanics. We had the Team 9.2 of Sector 7 patch, and it was oversized. It was big. And so my wife had it made before we even got it funded. Like we believed in this thing so much, and we knew that the piece itself was going to sell it, that we had it made, and I was showing it physically to people before we had even funded the stretch goal.
Yeah.
And it really worked to move and to get people excited about it, because they got to see how it wasn't just me talking about it, they could actually see it. So I think stretch goals are really good, but everybody that's just starting a campaign, be careful, because that's the fun aspect of these campaigns. Because I know each one of us probably have a handful of stretch goals we would have loved to do, but just it didn't make financial sense to do them. I have one chambered, and I want to do it with like the next Chrono campaign. I wanted to do, because one of the characters is this guy right here. His name's Doug, and he's from the 70s. This is the world tour poster. So I made I made a tour poster with all the tour dates. It's called the D Tour. So that's 88. You have the promoters up here and everything. So one of the things we did get to do is we did guitar picks. So Doug's lucky guitar pick, we got to make those. But what I wanted to do as well is I wanted to do air guitar strings, which is like, when you play air guitar, there's no guitar. So I just wanted to make a container that was plastic, and it had like the cardboard thing on it where you would hang it on a rack. And I wanted to go, like Doug's air guitar strings, and have that as a stretch goal. But it just didn't make sense financially.
Yeah.
Another
thing, and I want to answer Jasper Plan 9 said, would it be the English creator who's offering a frog waltz smacker as a stretch goal? No. If you talk about Ethan spends more money than anyone I know on his stretch goals. Far and away more. Also, someone said Brian Polito is probably the best guy to support as far as Brian is also the king of stretch goals. He spends a lot of money on his stretch goals. You get a real bang for your buck. But something we're exploring now for our now coming stretch goals, and Graham, you inspired us when we got the Chenoo, is to put that money back into the book. Do a spot gloss. We hit $30,000, all the books will get a spot gloss, or a gold, all the logos will be, gold foil.
Right.
And put the money into the book, because, and now here's the thing, and I want to know what you guys think is, my wife and I go back and forth. Debbie thinks people want the cards. Debbie thinks they want the physical stretch goal. I want to put it into the book. So I'm kind of curious where you guys feel, because I don't really collect cards. I got all the cards in a little pack of all the I don't know, 100 or so, or 100 plus campaigns I've contributed to.
I think it depends. I think it absolutely depends. I think Ethan's clever in that he incentivizes them. He numbers them. He makes them collectible. He makes you, he sends you over here. You join my channel. You get this. You sign up. You get that. And then they're numbered. And then he offers this booklet. And you're like, oh, shit. You want to, it makes you want to collect them,
Yes.
But I wanted to rewind about 3 minutes and go back and say one thing that I implore people to understand is that a lot of times we look at successful campaigns and go, I got to do that, right? I got to be like that. I got to do that. And don't really consider that might be guy's campaign 5, your right. Campaign 1, you need to grow organically into that place. You can't, 2 things, comparison's the thief of joy. That's number 1. And then number 2, be realistic about what you have. Don't ever look at what you don't have. Look at what you do have and work with that and build towards things, Of course I want a lunchbox. Of course I want a toy on my campaign. Of course I want these things. but my business isn't there yet.
Yeah.
Right. And you can't get frustrated and think like, oh shit, I'm a failure because I can't. No, don't think of it that way.
But if that's what you want, then build campaigns towards that. So if you want those things, then start building, to the point where you can get those. To answer Billy, I'm 50-50. I think that the money should go back in the book, and with both of my campaigns, we did. So we went from 48 to 60 pages. We went from staple, spine to, perfect bound. We went from just a floppy comic to, the hardbound cover, better paper, all that stuff. So we did put a lot of that money back into the book as far as stretch goals, because I think that makes a lot of sense.
Yeah.
But for most people, I think those things they're intangible. They don't really understand that, but they understand a cool patch or a trading card or something like that. So for me, it's both. I want to make the book the best it can possibly be. I want to do wraparound covers. I want to do foil. I want to do all that stuff eventually. Mm-hmm. But I do realize that I need to walk before I run. So it's my ultimate goal. If I can start, if I can work harder, get a fan base, build it, get more people in to support the projects, then I can do these other things. But it just doesn't make too much sense right now to do them. Yeah.
It's something you always have to be cognizant of is shipping. Whether you have here's a question Dr. Mass wants to know. Can I talk about the Chinook beer? I know you have challenges with the empty cans. I had a perk level that was I had approached a brewery, and we produced Chinook brew, an imperial stout, and I designed the labels for the cans and everything. And then I wanted to offer the empty cans, or so that they could have the artwork on the can as a perk level, and a bunch of people really wanted that. Well, some of the problems I ran into was that you can't put a wrapper on an empty can. It needs weight to go through the machinery, otherwise it's going to get all chewed up. So they filled it with beer, put the wrappers on, and then they drilled holes in it and beer out. Well, now these collectible cans have these shitty holes, and they smell like stale beer.
Mm-hmm.
That was no good. Couldn't do that. So then we decided they had 2 cases of them that they didn't drain, and I said, well, okay, I'll just give them a little extra Christmas present, and they can have the beer too. Well, you cannot ship alcohol in the U.S. through the U.S. mail unless you have a specific license to do so.
Yeah, or know a guy.
Yeah, I didn't want to get into have my company get into liability issues. So finally, we decided we're just going to fill the cans with water.
Yes.
Through the machine so that they feel like beer cans, and then I canned them or capped them to one of each one, because there's 2 different labels, and then bubble wrap them, put them in a box, and sent them out like that. So that was quite a labor-intensive perk that I wasn't expecting to have to spend so much time on. But it worked out in the end, and thankfully there was none of them that shipped overseas. So because those were heavy, they're 16-ounce cans, so that's 2 pounds right there.
Yeah,
packing and all that. So thankfully none of them had to go overseas. So there's your answer, sir.
Yeah, one of the things with Black and White is that there's a brewery as a backdrop in the story. And I wanted to do the White Song, that's the name of the brew, so bad. But I don't know. When you announced it, Graham, I was like, how the hell did he make this work? Because I looked into it a little bit, and I was like, you just can't make. And I wanted to do bottles. I'm a bottle guy. I don't really like cans. So, I wanted to do bottles. I even designed a label and everything, but it just didn't make financial sense. So when I heard that you were doing it, I was like, how the hell did he get this to work, man?
Well, now you know the rest of the story.
Yeah,
That's right.
near beer. Remember near beer?
Near beer. Holy shit. O'Doul's.
Well, now there's a Budweiser Zero.
Mm.
Have you seen that? Yeah.
That's the point.
Yeah, it's no alcohol. I don't know what it tastes like. Probably tastes like really bad Budweiser, which is not good to begin with. So.
It would be like the ultimate poser brew. Like I remember when I was in my near beer phase, because I was just like a kid. So I could go to the liquor store, I could pick up some comic books, and then I could buy a can of near beer, and I could walk down the street back home and just hope that the cops would pull me over like I was some kind of badass drinking a beer or something.
Rabble rouser.
At Hot Wheels.
Yeah, so that was my thing. Yeah, I got my Luke Cage comics and my damn near beer. I'm ready to go.
I live in one of the few towns in this country in which there's no open container law. So you can walk down the main street in the village of East Aurora with an open beer.
That's
Wow.
awesome.
Oh, wow.
That's really cool. Yeah.
Yeah, it's great. In the summertime, people, they'll have their solo cups or they'll just have their cans and they're walking. Yeah. I've walked up to like Christmas caroling with some bourbon,
That's up right there.
The time I was able to do that was Las Vegas on New Year's Eve. And I don't know if they allowed it or if everybody just did it, but people were just drinking and walking down the streets and stuff.
They have sections. Like I live in Georgia, and there's a place called Avalon, and it's a outdoor mall, and they allow it, but you have to be on the premises.
Okay.
And the first time, like it was weird. I walked into the Lucky Jeans store, and behind the cash register they had bourbon and wine and all this stuff, and I thought like, oh, that's their art direction. Like that's kind of cool. And I was like, hey man, I like your art direction. And the lady says, you want one? And I said, what? And I thought she was kidding. And she said, no, you're eligible to have one as long as you're 21 for purchase. And I said, so I got to sit here in the store and drink? And she's like, no, you can take it out there. And I said, man, that is the coolest shit ever. So, yeah, I mean, I wish the whole town was that way. I don't know if I'd skip to my Lou down my block with a beer, but like,
That's what freedom tastes like, Dan. That's
freedom. Freedom is delicious, man.
It's delicious. It's like a cold brew.
Just pour it all over you.
Yeah,
That's right.
Man, I've had
You guys keep
I've had a 6-pack since I've been here.
excellent.
Well done, buddy. Well done. Drink up that freedom. Drink it up.
Yeah.
Do you guys keep a few copies of your own personal collections from your crowd funds?
I do, absolutely.
Yeah.
I try to keep a what's up, leg kick? That's Mr. Bruce right there. I try to keep a stash of everything I've ever worked on. But like, for example, like The Grave, the book I did with IDW, I have 500 of those. Like I'm just sitting.
Wow.
I'm sitting on them.
100. Holy crap.
Yeah.
I'm going through the archives right now, so I'm digging up old Overstreet
Yeah.
with black and white on it.
Look at that.
Comic book Who's Who.
See, our books are kind of forever entwined because our first appearances are in the same book.
Yeah.
Black and White and Black Flag, their first appearances are in Extreme Zero.
Right, Extreme Zero.
Yeah, Art Taber was the first inker to ink a Black Flag character that wasn't me. You inked Rob's cover featuring Sniper.
Right.
Yeah. So it's it's crazy, man. These long histories are wonderful.
Yeah, I'm going through all this stuff, and it's amazing because it almost feels like, I've been doing this for almost 40 years, and it feels like when I look at this artwork, like somebody else drew it. I don't even identify with it. Like this piece right here. I'm like, did I draw?
I remember that piece. I remember that.
Yeah.
The pages are stuck together now, but
dude, that's hot.
Yeah, so there's all that Marvel stuff, and then there's early. I just saw it here. Let me see if I can find it again. I had my first book here, I think. Where is it? It was in Humanoids. I worked for, oh, it's not here. I can't find it now. But, oh, here it is. Here's the first comic I ever worked for Marvel, was the Inhumanoids.
Wow.
Metlar Unleashed.
Oh, the Star comic. It was their kids line.
Yeah, it was the kid line. Yeah. And so I think the penciler was Jose Delbo.
Oh,
Jose. Yeah. Love Jose.
Jose, yeah. So, I'm going through all that stuff. And like I said, it doesn't feel like it's me. It feels like somebody else.
Sure.
All this stuff. So it's pretty weird.
I think I have a piece in that pinup, that Marvel swimsuit pinup as well. I know I did something. I did one, but I think I remember that cover. I might have something in that.
Yeah, they did it. They did it for a couple of years. I thought it was smart, and I think that Comicsgate should do one. It's like stuff that we're talking about. You just have to find that person that's able to organize it and bring it together. And all of us are so busy with our own properties and our own IPs that it becomes hard to do anything outside of that. So I still put it out there. Like, if we could find somebody, I think it would be a blast to do swimsuit versions of all of our characters.
We're planning on doing a kimono.
Oh, that'd be cool.
Just get a bunch of all you guys. I'd love for you guys to be a part of it and do it. And it's called like something. We'll call it enticing kimono or something.
Amazing Heroes
kimono or something.
Remember Amazing Heroes magazine? They used to do a annual swimsuit issue.
They did
back in the 80s.
I've got them all.
Yeah, well, I must have done 3 or 4 of them.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, they could just pick any character you wanted and just do a swimsuit issue, and I'd throw it in there. It was cool. It was fun.
Nice.
Good times.
Yeah, so I think Graham and I are the oldest, because I think Graham and I did some math.
Yeah.
I think we both started about the same time. I think maybe a year apart. But I think Billy and Andy and Dan are like the youngsters.
I believe that is right.
I'm 94.
I'm 94. You don't look a day over 104.
Thank you.
I think I'm the youngest. I think I'm the youngest at 62.
There you go.
Don't even joke. I'll be 60 this year. I'm not kidding.
Oh shit.
God bless.
Yeah.
I'll be 50 in 2 years.
Oh, stop.
I would murder all the people who drive by in the next car down my street to be 40.
I'll be 59 in March.
Holy crap.
Oh, what day in March will you be at Graham?
Well, it's close to the Patty's Day, lad. I think 5 days early.
Well, then we're going to have a point or 10.
Maybe I'll hyper you up and drink the 32 beers.
Oh, so there you go. Every one of your parties.
Leg Kick's got a good question about printing. He asks, how do you guys determine fair printing price? Do you negotiate? I compare. Being in this business almost 30 years, I knew about Sparta, Quebecor, Ninja Printing, Mixim, all the guys that are used now, the guys that are used back in the day, keeping in touch with old print reps and just contrasting and comparing and going, well, this person is, I know what paper I want. I know what I want it to be like. And then you go for a per unit cost and look for hidden costs too. Mm-hmm. A lot of times people are like, that's a great per cost. But then you see they jab you in the delivery, just.
Right.
And just remember that everything like paper weight, certain weight, like certain printing processes, they all cost, they all have their different pricing. So you have to also be very specific with what you want, because the prices can vary depending on, if you want the bucket seats, the leather bucket seats, or whatever it is. So you have to be very specific. What I usually do is I get a quote for like the basic book. And then I'll get a quote for like the bells and whistles version before I even launch. and then I'll kind of give them what I think is an estimated print run. And the good thing about doing comics now, and I think this will be Black and White Volume 2 will be my 6th, I think, campaign that I've run. So you kind of know going into it what your print run's going to be, what your fan base is, and what kind of book you want. So I usually get that stuff in advance. So the main thing is figure out what your print run's going to cost you, how much money it's going to cost to pay you to do the work. Hey, there's Dan.
There he is.
Yeah, and then shipping. The thing what people don't understand with shipping, this is a major eye opener, is when that total that you see, that has shipping in it. That's not your profit. That's with shipping. So when you see the overall total, it's very, very, it's kind of unfair, because not only do like people that look at it go, oh, we're really supporting this book, they have X amount of dollars, but the creatives go like, sometimes you fool yourself thinking that's what you have to pull from as well. And you have to remind yourself that, like, I don't know, close to half of that is going to go into shipping. So that's not your money. So you always have to remind yourself, even when you try to figure out your stretch goal costs and all that other stuff, you have to go with the realistic numbers versus what those numbers are on the site, because you always have to deduct your shipping right off the bat. And most people take a bath on the shipping. That's the hardest thing to figure out, because there's really no way to figure it out. There's no,
because you don't know how many perks or how many stretch goal things are going into that package when you establish your campaign, and you have to do that up front. So you have to set pretty much a flat rate, unless you're using something like Backer Kit where you can do it at checkout. You know,
and what you're trying to say is that the weight is different. So when you add the stuff, your weight per item is going to be heavier, especially if you start adding a second book. Like what some people do in the middle of their campaign, they'll add a second book, and then they'll add a stretch goal, or not a stretch goal, but they have a tier that has that other book, but they don't accommodate for the shipping of that other book, with weight per book and things like that. And I've seen so many, well, not a lot, but a few people that they do these jams, like they have their old catalogs and they put them in they bundle everything together. And a lot of those people sadly have not done well because of the shipping, because they just didn't accommodate for the weight.
Yeah, you got to know your numbers. There's caps, right? And like somebody asked me about my stretch goals, like, why are your posters folded? And the simple answer is because they can go in with the Gemini mailer.
Yeah,
right.
That's that straight up, you know. And yeah, isn't there like what is it, a 2 pound limit or a 1.5 pounds or something like that? There's an ounce limit.
2, I think.
It's a familiar or.
And the thing is, what I was thinking of doing with posters, Dan, is giving them an option, whether they have it folded or like just one poster. So I was thinking, like, for me, I did, like, in the day, I like promotional posters. So I never had a problem with something that was folded. Like,
me neither.
That's just how I grew up. But then I realized there is a collector market. There's people that want to put it up on their wall. So when we did posters with Chrono, we did it we just charged more for shipping and handling. And if somebody wanted it, they could pay it, but it was more expensive.
How did that go? Because when my posters come to me, they're coming folded. You know what I mean?
You ask for them to fold them, like,
okay. So you would get a batch that wasn't folded. Aaron's back.
Right.
Hey, how was dinner? Paisan.
I made for them to fold them, like.
Okay. So you would get a batch that wasn't folded. Aaron's back. Time travel.
Dinner.
Wait a minute. I made for them to fold.
That's you, Aaron. Turn your YouTube off.
YouTube off.
Okay. Yeah, I got it figured out. Technology is my friend.
There you go, old man.
I made salmon, and I have to say it turned out pretty darn good. So
how'd you do it?
Salmon? Oh, I love salmon.
Me too.
I use the air fryer to make mine. It only takes 15 minutes.
We got an air fryer, by the way. Yeah,
15 minutes in the air fryer, perfect, man.
I was thinking about Valentine's Day, get my wife an air fryer or a new vacuum cleaner. What should I do?
Air fryer, because you can't eat what she vacuums. You know what I mean?
Yeah. But then she's like, I don't want a lot, so I was thinking maybe get her a new toilet brush.
Yeah, a mop.
Jesus.
it's definitely
That's really.
No, I think I will get her an air fryer. We talked about that, for at Christmas time.
I'll hit me up, Billy. I'll send you the one I got. I sent my writer one because I've been, raving about it.
Thank you, appreciate that.
Yeah, the one I have is great. You preheat for 5 minutes. You throw your food in. You dial it up. Like nothing takes that long. My wife is a genius with it. Like she uses it as a combo. Like if she makes enchiladas, she'll cook the chicken in the air fryer instead of cooking it on the stove, and it saves like 20 minutes.
Oh.
Yeah, anything to save time, especially in.
I don't cook. I just started helping her when COVID hit, and we cook like Friday nights and then Sundays, and I love it, cooking with her and stuff. I'm basically her sous chef. She calls me, and I clean up because she's a slob. I'm like, look, you gotta clean up. I'm always watching everything, but it's fun.
Man, cleaning up is a big thing.
Yeah,
When Shelly and I got married, she'd do the laundry and I'd do the cooking. So that's how it's been for.
Oh, okay.
Except for about the 2 years I worked at CrossGen. When I was working 9 to 5 at CrossGen, she cooked. But other than that, I do the cooking. She does the laundry.
How many of you guys worked at CrossGen? I know Andy did. Aaron, you did.
Yep.
Okay. I know Jeff Johnson. I know he did. I heard that place was just madness.
Brandon Peterson.
Yeah, Brandon Peterson was there.
Steve Epting.
Yeah.
Oh, it was,
man. They need to do like the I don't know, not the Hallmark movie, but like the Netflix story on CrossGen.
It's not going to start off like the
Yeah, Mark was a dick to me. He tried to get me to come over and kind of like insulted my character. I'm like, I don't know, man. We're like, we're like top 25 selling books every month. When you make a comic, then you can come and insult me.
Yeah.
Yeah, he came basically trying to tell me, that you should come to CrossGen, bring Sheen to CrossGen, but of course he wasn't going to buy the character or anything like that, but he wanted me to come into the fold, and he was real like cocky and stuff like that, and trying to make me feel bad about my character, and it wasn't successful. I'm like, what fucking world are you in?
Outside IP? I didn't know they were looking for outside IP. I thought
No, it wasn't. He just wanted me to hire me to work for them, and then she was just going to automatically. He was doing me a favor.
Oh, right.
Making me part of something he owned.
Okay. Yeah.
Without paying for it. He was a nice guy. We laughed about it after he got started with CrossGen and all. Like one night at MegaCon or something like that. But he came like a real cocky SOB.
Yeah, he pitched it to me, and then I was thinking because he wanted a universe, and it was like no superheroes. It's going to be this, that, and the other thing, and it's all going to be kind of self-contained. And I was like, dude, none of those ideas you just pitched me sell. It's like
beautiful books, though. My God, you guys did some great work.
Yeah, there's some brilliant stuff, but it's just like fantasy and like sword and sorcery and that kind of stuff. Mm-hmm. It just doesn't do very well. So
it's the Jim Jones compound thing that scared me.
No, we really pushed each other. Working under the same roof was a terrible business model because it was just too expensive. But we really pushed each other, and I think a lot of people did the best work of their careers right there at CrossGen, at least up to that point. And so there was some good about it, and it wasn't as culty as it looked like. I mean, it was just a bunch of guys hanging out and working a regular schedule, and we got like salaries and we got health benefits. So there was a nice angle to it. But anybody that went in there knew, if you were smart, you knew that they couldn't last because the overhead was just too tremendous. You can't. And to your point, Art, the books sold okay. Okay, they were like Sojourn was in the upper 20s, and what happened was Mark just kept pushing product, and we had too many books, and then not enough customers to buy all the books, and that's kind of what happened. If he'd kept it, he might have worked or worked longer.
Or if he did superheroes.
Yeah. Well, Aaron, what were your hours like over there?
9 to 5.
Really?
Yeah, occasionally.
Well, Aaron's a machine for one. Seriously, he is. But the hours were 9 to 5, but we had 24/7 access. So you'd have a guy like Jimmy Chung come in at like 2 in the afternoon, but stay till like 2 in the morning. You know.
Oh, so so you had flexible hours as long as you worked an 8-hour day plus or something.
Yeah.
Mark in the beginning wanted everybody there 9 to 5, but then just some people were like, "Man, I just don't work that way. I work at night." Like Jeff Johnson worked at night.
Yeah.
Aaron and I both were more daytime, so I mean, I'd get there around 8:30, stay till about 6, and it all just came down to meet your deadline. So if you had to work, if it took you 12 hours to draw a page, that's your problem. But if you could get it done between 9 and 5, awesome, you're out.
Yeah.
Yeah, we had to do 5 pages a week, or at least that's what was expected, to get 5 pages done a week. So, and that's that's what I've been doing my whole life or more. So
Aaron, were you able to take work home, or did you have to work on all of it in that building?
Well, there was no reason to take it home because I was never behind.
He wasn't. Like I said, he was a machine. But yeah, if you had a studio at home, you could take stuff home and work at home if you wanted to.
But the cool thing about it was you had the weekends off. If you got, if you did your 5 pages Monday through Friday, then you didn't have to sweat anything. You just went to the beach or whatever. It was the first time in my life for that 2 years I was down there in Florida, 2.5 years, where every weekend I'd get up on Saturday morning and like, I can play with my kids. I can go do something. I don't have to work.
Yeah.
Because
structure. Yeah. What a concept for an artist, structure. Yeah.
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 The best thing that ever happened to me was having a kid, because it forced me to have structure. To just work whenever the hell I wanted to and whatever. And then when she was born, I was like, I can't work at home. I had an outside studio. I went there. I worked like 9 to 7. I'd come home, eat dinner, and if I still needed to do some work, I'd put in hours, and then go to bed. But I'd have my time with my family, and then I'd have a little bit of buffer, and then I tried to work it kind of like the CrossGen thing, where it was 5 days a week, trying to get all the work done. So you had the weekends. And so the neat thing about that is that there was always a little bit of buffer, that if you needed the weekends to work, you could, but you had the option of not working. And I'll tell you, I've never worked that way before, because I always worked as much time as it took. Like I would just work. Sometimes I would just fall asleep at the drawing board. It was like whatever it took to get the work done. There was many times, I would have bedding underneath the drawing board, and I would just crash, and then get up after a couple hours and finish, if there was a deadline. So it brought a lot of sanity. So I do understand that CrossGen. I think that's good for artists to have that kind of structure. Some people don't need it, but some people do.
What was the studio like? Did you guys have like cubicles? Did you have offices? What was your work environment?
The main open area was broken up into quads, and each quad had 4 cubicles basically. And each quad in the beginning was supposed to represent one book. So when it first started, I think there were, there were 6 quads that took up that big room.
Yeah.
There were 6 quads with 4 workstations, and in the middle of each workstation was, like a 4-foot by 2.5-foot wide conference table. And the quad had the penciler, the inker, and the colorist, and then 1 extra desk. And then running along the perimeter were offices, because, let's say there were 6 books. So there's 6 creative teams in the quads, but, there were only, I think, 3 writers: Tony Bedard, Barbara Kiesel, and Ron Mars. And then Mark Wade came on. So they all had offices.
Chuck, right? And Chuck too.
And Chuck, yeah, eventually. So they all had offices, and then yeah, we just worked in those quads. And then, for instance, when Aaron came on, he was in the quad that I was in. Were you always in there, or did you start someplace else? No, you started up front.
You, me, Epting, and Perkins were in there, and then Frank and Laura Martin were all jammed in that one. If you remember,
that was the party quad right there, baby.
Yep,
that's right. But you know, here's the thing that just annoyed the crap out of me is all the colors were like, oh, we got to have the overhead lights turned off.
Yeah.
And I hate that because I like lots of light, as you can see just in my office now.
Mm.
And they were like, no, we need to have the overhead lights turned off for coloring purposes so we can see our screen. I'm like, what are you talking about? So it was really dark because you just had desk lights on. And I hated that.
Yeah.
You know, and we would argue too, like, come on, you don't need the lights. At one point, we were like, just put all the colorists in one room then, because this is ridiculous.
Yeah.
But the ability to be able to, as a penciler, I mean, I'd go and have a meeting with Tony was writing Mystique and Mystic, excuse me, and I would go and have a story meeting with him, and then I draw the book. I could take it over to Matt Ryan, who was inking, and to tell him what I wanted specifically. If there was like a panel or something that had something really interesting going on, and I was like, do it this way or whatever. Then I could go over to Will Quintana, who was coloring the book, and say, this is what I'm going for. And the books were, I mean, it was like, as the artist, we were like sort of the captain of the whole visual design of the book. And so I would tell the inker, and then I would go talk to the colorist, and it was just great because everything always came out the way you wanted it to. There was never any like horrible surprises, you know.
They were beautiful books.
So here's a
great
question
book
for you guys. What do you guys find the most fun for you in producing a comic for crowdfunding?
This right here. This is what
while you're working on it, it's your project. I mean, it's yours. You don't have a boss really telling you what to do of any sort. I mean, you might work with other people. I mean, obviously I work with a colorist, and a buddy of mine's doing the lettering, and I'm working with another friend of mine I've known for 30 some years on some of the scripting. But it's, you sit down and you're drawing what you want. So you really can't complain because you're the one that put it on yourself. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's not like, oh, this writer is having me do what? Dude, you wrote it.
My favorite part is always the writing. That's what I like. That's where the heavy lifting gets done. The thinking process, and it sets the course and the direction for what you want to do with your book. So I find that the most fun. The least fun is the drawing, for me. I think that's that's like the lifting the weights or something. But I also enjoy the promotional stuff. I love talking about the book and doing the Stan Lee thing and getting people ginned up about it because I'm ginned up about it. I love the control too. The control of everything. There's nothing that doesn't have to come through you. So you get frustrated if somebody in marketing at DC isn't pushing your project. Well, if nobody's pushing your project now, that's you.
Yeah.
Right.
It's a lot of work. Yeah, it's a lot of work because
it's a lot of work.
Yeah, when the PR department's going, the art department isn't.
That's true. That's true. Yeah. I mean, except for Dan, none of us are drawing.
yeah, right. So you got to.
We're not writing. We're not.
Yeah.
I like the non-compromise. So like if I'm drawing and I'm not getting it, I can go, well, I'll put this on the back burner and then I'll move to something else. Right. And when you work for like hire, when you work for the companies, I always say it's like you're working with a gun to your head. You don't have very many options. So your options, like you can't explore things creatively. You have to kind of go with a sure thing. I remember Howard Chaykin told me, he goes, the time to experiment is never on the board. The time to experiment is in your sketchbooks. So if there's a certain shot that you're trying to get down, work it out in your spare time, but never work it out on the board. And so the thing is, that's why you see a lot of artists that have kind of the same thing all the time, because that's all they really have ever had time to do. And what I like to do now is, if there's a shot or something that I'm not quite getting, I'll just put it on the back burner, and then I'll work on something else. And then I'll come back to that a day or two. But when you're working in an assembly line process, you don't have that liberty always, because you have to get it to an inker, you have to get it to a colorist, or you have to get it to somebody else. So then you're always kind of forced to compromise a little bit. Not always. I mean, you learn to work within the confines of your deadline, but sometimes there's things that you would, if you had a little bit more time, that you would like to do. And I'm like you, Graham. I really enjoy the writing process now, because it seems, it's probably because it's just everything I like, but the writing seems easy because it must just be all the things I love. And so when I sit down and actually try to craft something into a story, it just feels natural. It feels right. It doesn't feel like I'm trying to do something I'm not, or whatever. And when it does, that's when you know that you are going outside of that. So I really do like, I want to draw giant robots, or I want the story to be about, a spy thriller type of thing. And so then you just you got to pick your parameters. You have to work within those parameters, but for the sake of that book or that concept or that IP, then you're set. You know what I mean? Like, it's going to be a futuristic spy thriller with robots. That's basically black and white.
Yeah, and if you don't like drawing bicycles, you're not going to be writing a scene about a bicycle race.
Exactly. There's certain things that you just don't like. So, when you're working for Marvel and DC, that's the thing I never could really get past. It's like, I don't like this. I don't want to draw a freeway congested with cars. I don't have to draw that today. But you have to.
Yep.
Agreed.
Well, I was working on a script for a project I'm going to be launching later this year if everything goes smoothly. But I sat down, and I kind of, when I'm writing, I can get into a rhythm, even more so than when I'm drawing. I'm always looking for reasons to be distracted when I'm drawing. But when I get writing, you start writing the dialogue and the scene, and you're like, I'm going to finish the scene. I got to get through the scene. And, in a couple hours, I'd written, I'd 10 pages, and I went, no wonder these comic book writers make so much money. They're, that's how they write, 4 books a month. But it's really, I think, those of us, and all of us here are obviously artists with a lot of years experience. You kind of get that rhythm and that timing of how to draw a book and how to pace a book. When you're writing these comic book strips, it just kind of naturally, how many panels you can get on that page.
Yeah.
This panel has too much dialogue in it, I'm going to cut that line, because and I think it really, and you can see it in your head as you're writing, at least, you know what I mean? I can, and I see the scene play out, and how I see it play on the page as I'm writing it, and I can really just get into a rhythm and just go.
Yeah.
It's all about real estate. I'm sorry, Art. I was just going to say that we understand the real estate and the value of it, and it's very limited. Howard and I talked about this. You think you've got a lot of space on a comic page, and you don't.
Mm-mm.
6 panels max, and every panel counts. Like, I've written screenplays, I've written with partners, screenplays, novels, things like that, and the most self-indulgent you can get in the writing process is a novel, is a prose novel, or a novel. Right. Screenplays, they're like 200, 210, 200, around 200 pages, of content. That's 2 hours of a movie. Comic books are 20 pages, 22 pages, maybe, the older ones, 6 panels max a page. So usually a comic page will break down to maybe a situation. You know what I mean? So everything that you write and everything you introduce has to be very structured, because you just don't have a chance to be indulgent. The most indulgent you can be is in a novel, because you can go on and you can write and you can really embellish. But the other two, especially comic books, it's even harder than a screenplay to write, because it is so restricting. Like you said, Graham, it really is amazing that you can put an adventure in a 22 or 20-page story. And when you look at old comics, and you look at, somebody mentioned real estate, how they can move things from one scene to another, and how they can move time. It is an art form, and it's like no other. Like between those border panels, that's time.
Yeah.
Like you can jump it 20 years in the future, 20 years in the past, or it could be like 5 seconds into the future. You know what I mean? Like, it all depends. And it all depends on how clever you are in the story that you want to tell. And I find that absolutely fascinating. The restrictions become kind of, it depends, but it can become the fun aspect of it for me, because then you're constantly like, they say writing is just rewriting, and it's so true. So you write the scene, and then you go, well, this is 10 pages. And then you go, it has to be 3 pages.
Yeah, you got to learn to edit yourself. And that makes a better writer, when you can learn to edit yourself.
Yeah.
And then you're constantly condensing it down. Yeah.
And that's usually your second draft, or the second, write the first draft as with everything that's going out of your head and your heart.
There's a thing I just did with black and white, and it's the third draft. And then it was yesterday, I had the realization, it's like, why isn't this working? And then I realized all the rules I broke. Like, I just overwrote it. Like, I knew instinctively I was asking too much of a 3-panel scene or 3-page scene, but I couldn't help indulging, the ideas. So I knew kind of going into it, it wasn't going to work, but I still spent 2 days on it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
You guys, this is interesting, because when I was listening to you talk, Art, I almost always, in all the writing I've done throughout the years, I have almost never been too short or too long. I always find a way as I'm going to end up at 20 pages or 22 pages. Or if when I did Garbage Man, that was an anthology book, and I knew I had 10 pages, and I was able to get there, and I was never like, 12 pages, where am I going to cut 2 pages? It was like, as I was going along that path, I knew where I had to end up, and I always get within a page, and then you can either add a fight scene or remove something. But I've never caught myself just being, like you were just talking about, just so overindulgent that I'm like, wow, I got to cut 20 pages out of this.
My problem, I think, especially in this situation, was I was thinking of it cinematically and not as a comic book.
Yeah.
So that became the problem for me, because I was like, I was going into all these different arenas, and then for some reason I'm thinking cinematically, you can show this in a split second, and you can do X, Y, Z in just seconds. But in a comic, that could be 3 panels. It could be 4 panels. So half of your page is gone with just that one simple little idea. So you have to figure out what really is important and what isn't. I either observed this with Frank Miller's writing, or I remember him talking about it in a fanzine or something. And he was just like, he purposefully just moves things to the height of what it has to be. So he doesn't show the nuance. He doesn't show the process. He just shows the big moment. So you don't see the guy riding the elevator. You just see him walking into the lobby and pushing the button. And then you cut the scene to something else. And then when you come back, he's in the middle of an argument with whatever his boss is. You know, because the mind, that's the cool thing about comics, is the mind fills the gap. It does all that. And the thing is, as creative people and storytellers, that's what you want, because that's when people are engaged, because that's when they have to use their imagination.
Participation.
Right? Yeah, they have to participate in it. And that's where the magic happens. So if you try to explain it too literal, you're kind of taking the fun out of the comic.
Well,
I think that's why characters with no faces work.
Control the timing too. I mean, you can take one page and show the destruction of a universe, But you could also take one page and show a guy pouring, opening up a bottle of soda and pouring it into a glass, and with 18 panels, and how you structure those panels. And that's the interesting thing to me is if that pouring of a soda is so important, you can focus on that because it has meaning.
It could be his last soda before he goes out to the gunfight.
Right.
And it's his favorite drink because it reminds him of his uncle that taught him how to gunfight.
Sure. And we're watching him baby it and pour it and make sure it doesn't over. And then maybe he brings it up to his lips, and that's when the bullet goes through the glass through his head, and that's the end of it. We're seeing all that lead up.
Yeah. But then also the beauty of self-publishing your own comics is if you want to add 5 more pages, you can.
That's right.
That you have that
or a triple page fold out of glass flying with blood.
That frag a boom right there. That's
That's it right there.
That's it. Yeah, we did with She Haikyo, the book that's currently on Indiegogo is it was supposed to be 48 pages. I'm drawing. I'm like, I want to extend this action scene a little more. Let's extend that. And now it's 57. So they get 9 more pages of story and art.
Yeah.
And because you can do whatever the hell you want.
Did you get that idea from a Heinz bottle?
57.
Yeah, 57.
No.
Heinz 57.
I see what you did there.
Perhaps.
Old
Perhaps.
perchance.
Perchance. Right.
Well, guys, we're going to wrap this up here tonight. I want to thank everybody for coming on and sharing your experiences with everybody about crowdfunding and about comics in general, because it's something we all love and we're passionate about. And you guys are all great at it, and it was great to share this night with you.
Thanks for having us, man.
Come on, man. Thanks for having us.
You guys are awesome.
And thanks everybody in the comments.
I'm sorry. Don't forget, Andy has an active campaign right now.
First man.
And Billy, is yours in demand? Is Haikyo?
My Indiegogo Haikyo is in demand, and we'll be closing it in a few weeks because it's going to press in a few weeks.
Very cool. So Andy's now. What's that?
Boom.
Oh, I'm sorry. Dan, what you got going?
I'm still in demand.
Okay.
I got the supply because it's in demand.
Like the Brady Bunch, I'm trying to figure out which way to look.
Yeah. It's always, just remember that it's the opposite. So if I want to point to Andy, I point down here.
Yeah.
Even though on the screen he's here.
That's right.
And there's Andy. Oh no, Art is in the Cindy Brady box.
Yeah, the curl.
The Canoe is in demand until Friday, gang, and then it's going down. Might take a few days once once I send the request in. But then Tuesday at noon, we're launching Alien Alamo. So I hope you all will return for that.
Be there for the first day.
Attaboy. So, anybody else got anything they want to say before we sign off?
Well, Chrono is still in demand as well. So if you want to pick up that Doug World Tour poster, there is a tier for that. So you can order that, and I'll sign all those things up for you. So thanks again, Graham, for having me.
You're very welcome. Thank you, guys.
And thank you for your storyteller shows. You guys watch his storyteller shows. He will inflame and enlighten and inspire you from the legends of the past.
Yeah. I cost Dan a lot of money once he started watching those shows. He's been on eBay buying all kinds of books.
And sketches and my new favorite is Frank Godwin, man. That guy. Oh my God.
Excellent.
So good.
Oh, also, don't forget, Aaron Lepresti has a fantastic YouTube channel. He actually draws on his channel. So
I do. I'm going to do it all night, so look out. Anything could happen.
Well, right. Pop XP, I want to put this out there. The Pop XP, our YouTube channel that all of you guys have been on before, we got a strike, a copyright strike.
What?
Yes, we played the parts of the Wonder Woman trailer, and we had a film review on January 8th. Warner Brothers gave us a strike, and we cannot go live. Niall is fighting it right now, but we are in YouTube jail and cannot do a live stream for the next 82 days.
82 days.
Jesus.
Everywhere I look, I see the Wonder Woman trailer out there.
Well, they
Right?
don't want you talking about it, man. That's
No one on the panel.
They know it sucks.
Yeah, we trash the shit out
Right.
of the movie, and rightly so. It's a piece of garbage.
I think that's what it was about. It wasn't that you showed it; it's that you talked bad about
But
it.
Niall we will be doing our recorded shows, so we'll be recording it and then posting it up, and we'll also be doing live Facebook, and then Billy Tucci do the Tucci Trooper channel. I'll be live, and now I'll be coming on with me as we
Yeah.
Go.
And a thank you to Leg Kick for getting me to watch the Storyteller show, Graham.
Leg Kick.
Big shout out to Leg Kick.
All right, Leg Kick one. Thank you.
Yeah, he's spreading the good word. So big love to him.
Orange County is Leg Kick Orange County.
No, I think he's a Washingtonian.
Ooh, Washingtonian.
Yeah.
All right, gang. Adios. Thanks
See ya.
again.
Thanks, Brad.
Good night, all.